Well, hello, everyone. My name is Porosaurus. Joining me is Matrim, and we are here to bring you this next week of ALGS qualifiers. I'm excited. We got 2 weeks in the bag already, Matrim, and they've delivered in a big, big way.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is it's so fun. This is like my favorite stage of esports, is like this path to pro and your chance to really prove that you've got what it takes to make it to the next stage. Issue is we're starting to get into that like do or die stage of this thing altogether, Port.
Yeah, about halfway done now, and this will be the official start of the third week. And there's a couple of teams that have had really good showings so far, but haven't been able to get that top spot to secure their spot in the ALGS. Now, they still have that route of points, but we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But so far, we've got 2 weeks in the bag. I think it was Esports Arena, and last week was Rack Attack that made it and qualified based off of winning the overall thing. But it was very, very close.
Oh yeah, and now it's just going to be an accumulation of what we can do moving into this next stage, because it's just going to be a lot of chance for roster swaps moving out of here, a lot of adjustments that we're going to have to look at. I mean, we're kind of set, let's be honest, in the Legend meta right now, but there might be some like comfort picks or something that can come out of this one that maybe can bring in a couple of curveballs into it, because we are running 2 maps today.
Yep, we're bringing back World's Edge and Storm Point. So you can see the first 3 games will be played on World's Edge, last 3 on Storm Point, in which if you are a fan of Season, you should be happy that we're starting on World's Edge, because they have been having a heck of a time there.
Oh man, and there's like the variance between these is kind of nuts, because like Storm Point is its own beast to deal with. World's Edge is kind of like what everybody's comfortable with, but Storm Point is like a variation in a lot of the danger aspects that, you know, we've kind of accumulated in Apex throughout the entirety of its existence so far. Like much harder choke points, the big decline down the hillside. So you go from something that you're pretty comfortable with into a much more chaotic fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big things that we talk about when you get to these short format type tournaments, Matchroom, is how important it is to get that snowball rolling, to have that first big game that you can kind of build your success off of and try to, play a little bit more aggressive, try to go for those points, try to go for the high risk, high reward type scenarios, because more often than not, that's what separates our teams at the top of the leaderboard from those in the middle and those at the bottom.
Oh, and naturally some pretty good rotations. That's going to be a big key factor
For
for it. So we're going to see a lot of people flying around the map. But you guys should be entirely familiar with how the point system is going to be working through this. It's the ALGS standard. Yeah, 12 points up for first, 9 points after that, and it's going to diminish down until we get about that 16th through 20th place, where you're going to get nothing. But do remember that you get 1 KP every single time you take down somebody.
Sure do. And those kill points will make all the difference in the world. Again, as we said, this gets to be the second time I'm touching on season, but in week 1 they finished 3rd place. In week 2 they finished in 2nd, and both times it was only by just a matter of a handful of points. I mean, separating 1st and 2nd in week 1 was 1 point. Week 2 it was 2 points. So I mean, who knows? Maybe week 3 we'll have 1st and 2nd separated by 3 points if we're going to be following tradition. But
that just hurts though. That's like whenever you go back and you're looking through every single one of your kills, you're like you're watching somebody that like stole a kill from you, and you're like, that's what cost me first.
I mean, but that's the way it is, right? And that's when you get into these situations where you kind of have to put yourself in these positions where you go for those high risk, high reward plays, knowing that single kill, that 1 point here or there after 6 games, that could be the difference between 1st and 2nd place finishes. We are getting ready now to fly over the map into game 1. Pretty straightforward playing path, Matt, right across the middle of the map.
I mean, yeah, everything's going to be pretty easy peasy moving through this one, so I wouldn't be too terribly upset if I was a player involved in it. Now, just looking through, though, we're just trying to keep an eye on if anything crazy happens regarding like the potential mix-up on drops or potentially dropping pretty close to each other. I also want to point out it looks like it is going to be the far eastern area that's going to have the high-end drop and overlook. The south does look like it could be where the cluster is going to be going, but yeah, maybe a couple of hot drops or at least close drops in contention.
Gotta say, the last couple of weeks, the first game in particular has been a spot indeed for these hot drops. A lot of teams wanting to step down, make an impression right off the bat. Here we go, Rambro taking shots over at the Smiley squad. The Smiley boys, MJ, gonna have to dip on out of there. What? MMW, I'm sorry. Wow, threw me off.
Got to be careful with it. This is a very dangerous spot, and you can see trying to make sure that he gets vision on what's going to be happening. There's a lot of very intricate points in here. Everybody knows that when you drop down. The question is, how much are you going to commit at this stage? It's game number 1, and you don't want to risk coming out of game number 1 with no points, because that means everything just gets so much more taxing. Only 6 games today, so I wouldn't be surprised if discretion is the better part of valor.
Absolutely don't want to take that early L. And MMW a little bit split, Bad Boys rather, is a little bit spread apart here. I think they may have gotten a track on where the MMW boys are, but MMW doing a good job of disengaging from this fight, regrouping, and they're just going to go ahead and let Bad Boys have it.
Yeah, it's a slow retreat, and it looks like they're moving down into the south away from this one, but it's kind of a leapfrog strategy coming out, and you have to remember, nobody's had a chance to really loot that much, so not high-end on meds or anything else like that, especially whenever you have to get out of this fast, but that's a quick pickup. Bad Boys think that they've got somebody pretty close to them trying to go after it, but it looks like that's going to be a stall out right now.
Yeah, they definitely wanted a piece of that, but more shots coming in from a third party, it looks like here is, I'm not even sure if it's a third. Yeah, that is Stompy's now coming in with the purple shields on. You can see a hard crash coming in onto Bad Boys. They're going to have to reset this really quickly. Rambro already has the one guy with not white gear. And here you go, MMW still staying involved. You got to give them credit. They are pulling away, but they're not completely disengaging.
It's probably for the best whenever we're looking at the map. There's another team that's going to be just to the south of them, so you kind of are stuck in this situation. They realize it. So a contestant point right now might give them the capabilities to hold down this positioning for the later stages, maybe force the other side away from it, but this looks like this could also be just a huge problem for MMW with the way that this is starting to stack. The other side is managing to get a decent amount of loot, and now, even with high ground advantage, one member already down for MMW, looking out at range, going to come back down off this one. No third party coming into it yet, but that high ground for Bad Boys is just so strong.
Oh, Rambro landing the big shots there. You can see they are beaten and bruised and battered, and they're going to have to turn around now as Euban going to do his best to finish him off. We'll get MJ the knock and the flush coming through. So Bad Boys, they stuck this one around, and they're going to end up getting fed for it here a little bit.
Yeah, and now problems are starting to abound. The third party does hear what's going on. You can see in distance that's going to be JQ as well as Jalone. But no big aggression yet. Looking like see if maybe they can pick off the solos trying to get away, as Silent is going to be pathing along an area that they could spot him out just to the north of this. So he's got to be very, very careful, but I think he's going to head straight into the hillsides to where he can avoid at least the northern third party, as it does look like luck-based Killa and the rest of the crew might be looking in from the south.
Salvage operation now at this point for MMWs. They try to stay alive and get a few more points. Meanwhile, another fight looking like it might be brewing over here. Well, LTC going to get shots there. Oh, Void very, very close to going down, but will manage to escape just in the nick of time. LTD now on tower defense, having to watch that tunnel entrance. Daniel, or not Daniel, actually, going to be the one to do the lion's share of the work here.
And now it's just about making sure that they control the areas the best capabilities. They've got tons of vision in here, so not Daniel being the forefront inside of this one, playing offensive sides of it. As you can see, a lot of barriers now coming down. It looks like it's just going to be control of this choke point to the best of their capabilities. Looking around on the map, it looks like they have it for now, but need to be careful, as it looks like a lot of ways is going to move to the south, but there could be 2, maybe even 3 teams, depending on how this next circle pops, that are going to be going into that choke.
A lot of early game scrapping here going on. As we check in with Kalando. Taylor, ooh, big shots. We'll get the knock there with support from his teammates. Spongetta will have to step away and hit that shield back up, but no, Blakeu gonna be able to spot him out as Team Smiley trying to see if they can get something done here.
Smiley down with one of their members now looking through, trying to go for a reset onto it. Playing the aggressive side on this one, stepping up, using teammates' information that's already been provided on the down. Taking a ton of damage, but Sang is still going to go in with that one, and Kalindo is going to be eliminated.
Really nicely played there by Team Smiley. It was back and forth there for a minute, and they should be able to get the res back here on their knock player. As they're looking around, this is what you got to do, though. You got to be able to look around and see if that third party is going to come in. You always have to be expecting it at any moment. But it looks like they should be safer now. Meanwhile, back over to Stompies as they make their way in. They've got P1 just underneath them.
Oh, this is a mess. There are 4, maybe even 5 teams converging into this area, so they're going to have to make sure that they control this one pretty quick. Bots getting some vision on one, going to go ahead and take down Luck-Based Killer, get the flush on him as well. But now, with the zone on top of them, they've got to be very, very careful. So, looking through, you're already starting to get the other parties hearing what's happening. Now, here comes a difficult choice. They've got 2 different ways that they can make the play around this one just due to the way that the hillside is in front of them. Looks like they are going to lean back into the west, which means they are going to take some more ring damage, but at least it is going to be a safer path.
Need a lot of ring damage, as you said. But also looks like everything has pretty much settled down there on that southwestern side. Meanwhile, Vayne, the rest of the BR Demons have that high ground bridge area. BR Demons had a really good showing last week, but again, weren't able to find that top spot. But they're sitting pretty nice in the leaderboard as things go. This is going to be the team that's in their way primarily. Klain, Kenny, Mr. Hakulo, the boys from Season. They are looking strong so far here, although they haven't had to get involved in too much just yet.
This is a very, very interesting circle when we look at it, just due to how the mountains are going to make its own independent enclosed area. Choke points where we can see that it's going to be LTC playing from. Remember, they defended that one up just a little while ago, and we saw that. There is going to be some strength in it, but that also means the fact that they're going to have a lot of those targets in from the north that we were talking about. The south, though, is going to be a death funnel. Look at all of those teams that are going to have to be making a push along this line. This countdown is going to be very, very contested.
Definitely be keeping an eye on those choke points on the south as things slowly start to make their way in through some early game fighting. Seems like things have calmed down for the time being, but as you said, a lot of death funnels there on that south side. So we'll cut over Fragment, where we take a look at first attempt. It's looking pretty light in the loot there, but so far still 3 up, so you can't complain.
If you're in Fragment at this stage and you got light loot, that means you've been scrapping for a while, is the way I'm going to look at it. They don't have a lot of kills on it, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just might have been caught up in a lot of harassment based off the fact that they have a high-end defensive area right over here. This is going to have some strength with it, but you can see a lot of our flyers now coming in as yet again, it's going to be JQ and crew that are going to be landing it.
Here come the big repositions as they will land it next to each other, and there's bots starting to work their way in on this western edge of the zone. Haven't spotted out anybody just yet. Oh, there you go. He's going to spot 1, spot 2. Now the question is, what do we decide to do? Great sword, a little bit separated from the rest of the gang, and yep, we're just going to go ahead and dip on out. Vayne will take a few shots in passing. It doesn't look like we'll see a knock. Okay, there you go. 2 now. Lockdown ins here, side by side.
Looking at this is just going to get more and more spicy as this develops. You can see that already in this area, this is where the few compounds actually exist inside this next circle, already being contested just on stairwells. Compounds already having a lack of what's going on. To the east of this, it's all going to be open, so it's going to be the choke points, hillside. There are going to be some terrain pieces that can be played out there, but with high ground advantage and vision areas, this is going to make this very complicated. So 18 teams cannot support in this location.
It seems like a lot of holding down to hard cover, waiting to see what the circle provides. Draco's barely surviving there. That might be enough to do him in. Nope, you're going to get inside. Should survive for the time being. Nightmare keep all 3 up, and now they have a little bit of a foothold to work around here, but shots still coming in. The long range scrapping has been pretty impressive so far in these qualifiers.
Yeah, whenever I'm looking through this, they've got to be pretty cautious. Nightmare playing the location that's just going to be on the eastern side of this. Luckily, it feels like a lot of the shifts have moved away from this area, so they don't have to deal with a lot of what's going on. But we've got a tunnel fight brewing. It looks like might be opposing sides with the team that's going to be sandwiched in the middle of it. And SZN's got to be careful. His Klain's already down.
2 heavy-hitting squads here as Slept On missed last week. They came in second in week 1, and now they are scrapping with another big name in the lobby in Season. They've gotten 1 knock so far, but haven't been able to turn it into much else as they're going to turn around now, try to make the push after the first knock. We'll flush out that kill. Okay. Get Klain, and it looks like they're going to get Kenny as well. So Season getting picked apart here in the early game.
Back behind this, you can see PubCube trying to figure out what they're going to be doing. Harassment back into this one. Slept on. Still outside the ring. Going to be gatekeeping for position right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't stay with this one too much longer. At least move out into a more defended area and maybe just try to gatekeep, right, instead of just holding this specific choke point.
Let's see what Risen Rose decides to do here. As, look at this. Yeah. I mean, look, Rambro and the bad boys in a good position to do a little bit of gatekeeping here, but I think these two teams know it, and they're just going to go ahead and scrap it out as Slept On trying to get on out. See if they can find some way to get inside this next zone.
Yeah, now just playing this one slow and steady from position. They've got to be pretty cautious about it. You can see already down to 17 squads left, but that's just going to be a more of a contain as, yep, it's just time to go. Get out of dodge. Going to go ahead and make the jump up and over and try to get away from everything over here. Spotted out as they go. And it looks like they should be pretty open on their jump, depending on their pathing. Or they are just going to go right after kill.
Yeah, I mean, they had to pick somewhere, and this is about as safe a place as any, as they'll pull right into the hard cover. Meanwhile, over on this side, we've got MN, Cobra, Blinkser. Both squads just trading shots back and forth more than anything. I don't think any of these two really super interested in making a push just yet. I think it's just kind of seeing if they can maybe find somebody slipping. Nightmare actually starting to make their way over there, doing a little bit of a wrap, getting a flank with Bursty.
Oh, they can also rotate to the north, too. So I like this reposition from them. Instead of playing right along the edge, they can wrap back around, go into the north of this one, so that way they don't have to deal with who's gatekeeping them out. So if they do manage to get a knock or manage to get some damage out, then they can choose to jump. But now, with Bursty making a very forefront defended position, it's going to be at least, do they choose to go in or do they choose to back away? With that amount of damage, it might be back away.
I mean, they're doing their best, but they are getting held quite nicely here by, might be my favorite team name in the lobby, Wee Baguette. Purgix, Blinkser, and Cobra holding that high ground for dear life right now, and they're doing a damn good job at it. Doesn't look like anybody can really make the push here. Good shots there from Cobra. Won't get the knock, though.
This is turning into a nightmare for Nightmare, as their backs are going to be up against the ring in just a few seconds. They're getting the bad end of a lot of this damage right now. Wee Baguette doing a great job on defending up. Even spotting out the approach, coming out. Good shots coming out of that one altogether. Wee Baguette has the high ground, but it's going to start getting sprays in return. Now, with the advance coming out from Nightmare, you can see still holding the line, but finally taking some damage and having to step away.
No knocks onto Wee Baguette, and that is actually huge. I'm wondering what Nightmare's plan was. It might have been to try to go for that that ult, try to fly in, but Wee Baguette not giving them anything, and there you go. Nightmare is going to get eliminated as we cut over to yet another fight.
Oh, it's just going to be like this from here on out. It looks like Demons, they're trying to make this one work. They've got a lot of damage. Already one member down. Aiden's just trying to cling to life, but it's going to be Vayne that's up on top. That is absolutely unleashing so much damage. Trying to move away from this one, get back to cover, and try to reset. Vayne is going to have that spot that he can play from, but it's going to be more support coming in as yet again. J-Cruz, Dumps, the rest of the team are coming in. Bots, they've got some goals, and it's going to be trying to pick up more KP, and that one was clean.
Beautifully timed push there by Bots, and they'll get the res onto Stompies as well and be able to reset. It looks like here on the northwestern side, nobody anywhere near them, and they've got a free path into this next zone. Meanwhile, there's a lot of scrapping going on over here on the north side that has to come to a head pretty quickly, as well as this east side over here, as we see Dan Mantic and the rest of LTC trying to figure out how to get in here. High Psycho. Ooh, Karma getting knocked real low.
Slept on, trying to have to make their approach. I think that they've got a decent path. There is a team that is going to be gatekeeping them, but once they round that hillside, that's going to be the problem for them. At least no one holding the directed choke point. They have to be careful, though, as Gambit and the rest of Sang, the rest of his team, are going to be coming in along a path that they might get vision on. So the longer that Slept On stays here, they might find themselves having to contend with more and more teams.
And we missed Slept On last week in the lobby, as they were not present for week number 2, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and ult on out. So Flinzar will be able to survive a little bit longer here. Now, where's Slept On going to go? They've got options.
Oh, it looks like they got eyes right on Styx positioning. Going to land right on the opposite side from them. This is going to be now inside the ring and is fairly defendable if they choose on staying this. They can actually let Styx and the rest of the team defend high ground from them, so that gives them some inadvertent advantage here just to try to survive and really kind of stealth it out for a while.
Yeah, Team Revenge have that high ground, as you said, and not really much they can do about Slept On right on their doorstep here as Bad Boys trying to take a few shots in. Stuff there from Oxy as Rambro providing a little bit of support, but gets knocked very low. There you go. Bad Boys will finish off Stick Drift OP. And now we'll turn their attention towards the next fight that they can get in. Bad Boys, man, coming in here wanting to scrap.
I think that they were looking for Sleepy Panda on this angle, so with the way it's lined up, Bad Boys are wanting to pick up some kills, but it looks like bots are going to be coming in with the way that I believe the circle is now shifted. Yes, into that eastern area. That drop in tower that we saw just a moment ago is going to have high ground vision on so much. Bad Boys realizes this, and they're going to have to fight their way through a pretty open area to at least manage to make it to the ring.
And we had a snake down there, and Risen Rose going to be taken care of by the Smiley Boys as now they turn their attention over towards Bad Boys. But again, the angle's just not really there for Team Smiley right now. Bad Boys are able to kind of hold them at bay for the time being. It looks like Rambro's starting to look off to the north, and yep, they're going to start making their way. It feels like Bad Boys are just kind of between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, rock in two hard places. I believe that they have bots that are looking at them from the north, as Jalone is now creeping in behind them as well. I like this. Smiley realizing the fact with the ring coming in, they can shift away, and that means the fact that Bad Boys now has more pressure on top of them. They had that inside track into it. Seng's already going to get a foothold into it, and you can see Jalone going over there getting some more information, but I don't know if bots really has a clean path into this either, because Blinkster and I think that Vize are already holding down two different angles that can just absolutely demolish them if they try to make a run for the circle.
You can never forget about that solo snake rat player, Sleepy Panda, as well. For TD, as more shots coming in from Team Smiley. No knock just yet as Wee Wee Baguette will get eliminated. Is Sleepy Panda going to pick that one up? Looks like Blinkster just happened to find himself in the wrong spot, unfortunately, as now Sleepy Panda make the way out. But Team Smiley, I mean, they've just got all day. I mean, they can just camp this, and nobody else is really looking in their direction.
Yeah, with everything going on around the tower itself, this has kind of opened up the west more for this low ground push and navigating it. So Smiley is trying to hold this through. So now, Bad Boys realize what's going to be going on to the north of them, having to get caught on top, and it's all going vertical. Everybody throwing down the grabs, trying to get some airborne into it, but it's going to be one down for Bad Boys already. Rambro's trying to put out the damage, but he's going to go down as well. Now it's just Oxy Aries, the last one up, going for the spray. He does get a knock. It's starting to draw a lot of attention, though, as he's trying to get away. Bad Boys is going to get eliminated. And it's going to be Smiley that gets control of the south.
It was a tough decision. It was a 50-50 choice there for Bad Boys. Do you go north? Do you go south? They decided to go north. They end up getting cleaned up there by bots. Now, fortunately for bots, they don't take a knock in that. They're able to reset as Smiley now looking over in that direction. And yet again, you still have Styx. You still have Team Revenge holding that high ground. Just ADR farming right now.
I mean, they've got vision on so much, but the other teams are doing a good job playing the rocks. So while they do have a lot of control in what's going on, it's drawing a lot of attention their way, and that's what's led to, like, the ground war going on around the tower. They can't shoot up and hit Team Revenge. So that means that when Revenge has to move, and they're right along the ring, this is going to be very, very desperate for them. And you can see that they're trying to figure out how exactly they're going to do that, get the last bit of information. Here comes the jump as the ring is going to be right back behind them. Where are they going to go?
Well, they got Team Who on their north side. They've got Slept On the south, and they are just getting picked apart as there's just nowhere really to go. I mean, Team Smiley has everything they could possibly want here on the south side, although looks like they're now starting to get a little bit of pressure put on them from Slept On that southeastern side of the zone.
Who also playing the north is in a pretty strong control spot. So with everything that's going, all of the action has shifted down into the southeast, and that's given them a lot of control over this circle. It's them and Smiley now just keeping two other teams with their backs against the wall. Make that one other team, as Revenge is now down and eliminated, but Who now has targets set upon them and has got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, we're going to have to come down eventually, and now Smiley actually getting involved. They've got one. Blake, who is actually going to be the one that gets on top of them and finishes off what was left of Slept On. So now Smiley had the zone straight up 3v3 versus who? And you got to feel good about Team Smiley's chances here as they are just pushing out. They'll lose one, though.
Got to be careful with it now. It's all coming down to the shield dance, going back and forth onto it. Smiley's got the shields up, lined up. Still 2 members. A lot of damage coming out. Now it is all just down to health. Sank's taking a lot. Jumps up, gets the spray, and Smiley's going to take our first game.
And well fought, well won by Team Smiley. They just asserted their dominance there at the end there. Blakeu, right on top of Team Slept On. It's just like, I'm not sure if that was a 1v3 or what happened there, but Blakeu was the one from Smiley that was right on top of him. And unfortunately for Slept On, it is just a fight that they could not find their way out of.
That was just a really well read on that circle, figuring out what was going on. They did a great job on making sure to gatekeep out teams on angle, while also making sure to stretch out. They realized what was going on around the tower and the compress that was going to happen in that area. So just all in all, it felt very in control through that round.
It did. Now, I will say that Slept On, I think, looked very good in that game as well. I'm very curious to see how many kills they ended up with. I feel like they were doing a little bit of ADR farming of their own. As there was actually a couple of teams that I think were doing a Bad Boys being another one. I mean, we saw them all the way to the end. It just seemed like they were willing to take just about any fight that was presented in front of them. And half the time they came out, most of the time they came out pretty clean. So interested to see how that stacks up on the leaderboard. But we are done with game number 1. Do we take a break here? Production, do we take a break?
I think that we just keep on rolling.
We're just going right in.
We're just going game
right
to game
in.
to game.
Right.
I don't think that we take a game break until after game number 3.
That's what I like to hear.
Smiley,
we just keep
13
grinding
kills.
on Smiley. Oh, man,
I see you, bots.
25 points to start off your night is definitely a good start. We've talked a little bit about how you like to come in with that first game, get a little bit of a snowball going so you can play with a little bit more aggression and make those high risk, high reward plays a little bit more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? Make them a little bit more worthwhile, I guess, going after. If you have 25 points, you don't feel as bad if you make a push and you get third party. You know what I mean?
That's definitely true on that one. I also want to point out bots, JQ, Jerlone, Stompies. We saw them be very active from the earlier stages of this, and while they didn't walk away with like a huge amount of, whenever we're looking at this, placement points, that was because they were in that northwestern like funnel where all that fighting was going on with Bad Boys, Smiley, when we saw Who up there as well. But they did a very good job on getting cleanups in moving into that position. And I really like the way that they managed to propel themselves through this one. And they were just doing a great job on team fighting from, I feel like, the drop.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that a couple of these teams have taken it. They're just deciding to come in here and scrap. And that's how they want to get their points. They want to start scrapping. They want to start fighting. They want to get the kills more than anything. And more times than not, it'll lead to those placement points as well. But there you go. After game number 1, your leaderboard set up. I got to say, a little bit surprised to see Season with 0 points there. But that's a team that can turn that around real quick.
I mean, yeah, we saw a lot off the get-go with this one. Slept On, managing to find their successes you're talking about. I also do want to point out Bad Boys. They had themselves between those rock and 2 hard places we were talking about a second ago.
It's tough,
Team
man.
Revenge, man. I feel bad. They got a strong position, but everybody just started playing out of their sight line, so they didn't manage to walk away with a ton of kills on that, while they did have a lot of control in that game.
Yeah, Slept On, definitely a team that we're keeping our eyes on. I really liked the plays from them. I think Team Revenge ending up with 7 points there from just kind of hanging out on the tower. But I think, we talked about Slept On just kind of taking that position right underneath them, so where they could kind of get defended by Team Revenge. It was a pretty good call, and 12 points to start things off. Not a bad game number 1 for those boys.
Yeah, you can see that it was interesting moving into this one, because now we already have a early set up for Team Smiley as well as Bots Slept On. We've been talking a lot about how the strength of Team Slept On comes in off of this one. So Bots as well as Team Smiley now getting some more comfort range inside of this, because yes, do remember that we are now a 6th of the way done for this qualification. So that means the fact that pressure is going to continue to mount. Teams that are going to be on the right side of this leaderboard right now are going to be in a much more dangerous and precarious position, as they're going to have to play more risky to try to catch up.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking back at previous weeks here. Last week, Team Smiley also had a win, but they ended up finishing in ninth with just 33 points overall. So, I mean, already 25 points. That's a good step of the way towards where they were. But, it kind of makes you wonder. They had that win last week. Did they kind of change their play style, or did they, did they start playing a little bit more conservatively? Did they just get caught up in early game scrapping? What happened there? Because this Team Smiley here, I mean, they look dominant, Matt. They look like they had good zone area control. They were kind of taking the fights they needed to. They knew when to step away and when to push, and I think they looked really, really good. So hopefully, whatever issues they may have had last week, maybe they've got them fixed.
I mean, Apex could be a cool mistress. Let's be honest. Sometimes she can give you some really hard games in a row, and with only 6, one game is tough. Not going to be enough, right? We all know that one, as you were just talking about. They just got one win last week, but it's just about making sure that you don't now rest back on the laurels. We see that a lot, bro, don't we? That somebody has like a great game, and now they're like, it's time to play safe and just go for like placement points or something like that, and then you just end up stringing together 2 to 3 games where you don't get very many points at all. And now that massive lead you started with just diminishes down to nothing.
Yeah, definitely not something that you want. Definitely not something that you want. But, hopefully the idea this time around will be, hey, we've got 25 points. Let's play a little bit more aggressive. And let's try to go for those points. We know that we can scrap with any team in this lobby. We feel really confident in our mechanics. It looks like they're not really having to worry about any hot drops as they're heading over towards Overlook. Looks like they're going to be there by themselves as well. So they've got time to kind of get things started here.
Yeah, looks like a much cleaner split coming across this one. It's going to be Bad Boys finding themselves some fun off the get-go with this one, at least managing to pick up some shields and some range capabilities off the start. Hemlock, not going to be the preferable choice for a couple of these players, but at least it's going to be able to bring out some damage off the get-go. That car, though, going to find some more fun. Meanwhile, the standard hot drop double up is Mozambique Spitfire.
You know you're suffering when you get the Mozambique Spitfire, but you know what? He's making it work right now, and that's
I love
all you can really ask for. Oh yeah, I mean, accuracy through volume, baby.
It feels like Bad Boys are starting to get a read on how to play around this right now, getting some good vision into it. Now it's just going to be the continued dance around this position. Mike and Ike is going to have to be kind of careful on this one. Jalone Stompy's bots do hear this to the north, but it's quite a ways away before they're going to be making the plays. I wouldn't be surprised if they just lean into more of a gatekeeping position on this one, based on the fact that the circle is now shifted to the north.
Good little shot there by Euban. Ooh, another good shot there is the 30-30. Getting some love here. A few more robles over in that direction. But, I mean, this is, hey, we saw the points the Bad Boys got off of that first game. And as you saw, this is just a team that's been having a scrap. The word go, and so far it's been working out pretty dang well for him. We'll see if it works out here.
Hey, feed that shield damage early on, right? There's some benefits going on inside of that one. Coming back over here, it looks like we've got ourselves another situation that's going to be brewing, and it looks like I think it's going to be Nightmare. Yep, already one member down. Draco's already in a bad spot as well. Looks like he's taking a ton of damage. Ronnie's trying to get over there to provide some support, but the vision just is not there in the way that he's going to want it. Looks like he's just going to go for the Arc Star on the door, try to step away, but it's just a continued stall.
I got to be a little bit careful there. He's a little bit separated from his teammate, so Spanjettel trying to come out, see if he can maybe spot something with the wingman. Not going to find it, though. Kalando down to 2 as well. Upsuchi is with his teammate, though, or with their teammate. So they won't have to make the push. Yes, ooh, good spray. Gets them down to almost nothing here. Yep, they're just staring each other down.
Yep, coming out just on health. Meds, terrible situation. This is the hot drop fights that we can see how it's going to line up. Now, Kalindo in some trouble. Shields now starting to come out, and at least some meds for Nightmare, and that might be enough to turn this fight on its head.
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare's got this time all the time in the world, really, to just kind of keep eyes on Kalando inside, but they
can in front of him through the window, man. That's
yeah, I mean, they get to loot around whatever's on the outside. Kalando, meanwhile, just stuck on the middle, but they are just holding them off here. Nightmare just not going down, and there you go, a trade coming through as Upsuchi will find Draco.
Ronnie going to go for more health, and that door dance is becoming a big problem. Advantage Nightmare had now starting to be retaliated. How is Ronnie wanting to play this? Still got some health to work with. Looks like just going to go ahead, drop a frag down, see if it's going to take out the door. Jump down. Now it's just about the shields. Going for it. 27 is going to be all it takes. There you go. Nightmare manages to pick it up and should be able to get the banner too.
Nice job holding there for Draco, holding that shield up. Kalando could work around it. Kalando, I mean, you got to give credit to Kalando. They were in a really rough position there, and they made that fight way harder than it probably should have been for Nightmare. But there we go. Now Risen Rose getting involved in a scrap of their own.
Loved that stall on the drop just to get the good position. Now getting out a lot of damage. Rose, though, taking a lot of damage of their own. Looking through. Flux is going to go down. Step back through off of this one, trying to look for the reset and what's going to be happening. Looks like they might have some time to work around it. Now looking out across this position, looks like everything's stalling out for just a little while longer.
Loved that from Risen Rose. That was a very, very clean 3v3. They do take a knock, but they clean it up very quickly and are able to reset. You'd hate to see the fights that just drag on, because the longer those things drag on, Matt, you know that third party is going to come in eventually. As we check back here, is mostly everybody just kind of looking at each other right now.
Yeah, we're down in that good spot in the center of the circle, so everybody's just trying to wait and chill. You can see that there are a lot of teams still playing on the outliners right along the ring, so I guess aiming for some more loot, maybe trying to get some more shopping going on. We'll have to see how that's going to line up moving into this one, but it just feels like it's a lot of attrition war going on as everything's just moving in around LTC's positioning, and landslide in this whole area looks like it's just going to get real clustered real fast.
Just a little bit of tower defense going on right now. As you said, it is mostly just attrition, seeing if they can take away these batteries, take away these shield cells. Nothing really serious coming just yet in the term of pushing. Although LTC looks like they kind of want a piece of this now, and they're going to find Flesh. A few more shots there. Ooh, not going to find the last wingman shot to get him, unfortunately, though. But you got to respect LTC for kind of going, get the door closed right in his face.
I feel like somebody's done that to me before, Poro. While I've been trying to escape and bring together. It's closing the door in the face.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And it happens every once in a while. We all just trying to get away from the bullets, right? This feels kind of like a repeat of what we were watching last time, as everybody's going to be stocking right up on top of each other. This is a very interesting spot where we can see it's going to be having the rest of the team playing low ground with LTC right on top of them. I do like to see the fact that LTC is still, like, they're stepping out more. We saw them, they were playing the choke point inside the last game, and that was beneficial for them until everything shifted away from them. Now they're trying to keep more territory control instead of just the choke point as well. And I like that style of mindset.
I still got a few teams hanging out on the edges of the zone, not making their way in just yet. I think everybody realizing, like, look, there's still 50 alive, still 17 squads up. Everything of worth is probably going to be taken at this point. So let's just kind of play it slow. We'll play our edges, take any fights that we may spot, because we know that all the power positions in this circle are most likely just gone at this point.
There's a lot of risks coming with this one whenever we're looking at it. I'm kind of curious to see how we're going to see the total lineup come out for this, but it feels like most of our teams are definitely leaning into that northwestern area where we've been seeing a lot of the action go down. It's no surprise, landslide not getting much love. So our tail end, actually a lot of these teams with just like the hillsides, the way that the compounds are laid out, the way that there's a couple of trenches, dips that you can play inside of, they're finding some very sneaky spots, and this is supporting pretty much everybody right now.
Yeah, see, first attempt kind of held up there. Bronzy got his shields knocked away, but was able to get back in. But yeah, this is basically where we're at. I feel like this is the slowest I've ever seen Apex. It's at a competitive level, because there's just no real point in pushing anybody with the hard cover, and the people with the little hills and outside areas to work with. They've got this pretty well locked down inside this new zone. As bad boys take a few shots over there, but yeah, just kind of no reason to really do anything too terribly risky just yet. Might as well just kind of sit around and farm damage.
I mean, that's just kind of the area, right? Whenever we're looking around Countdown, it's it can be very dangerous due to the way that the terrain is as the circle continues. If it goes into that area, you're going to have to make some desperate sins, and that looks like that's what's going on right now as Demons now finds himself with one member down, trying to hold up in this line. Vayne taking some damage off of it, going to step away. Aiden the Destroyer up in the front of this one. Going to have to see. It's like they are trying to hold. On the opposite side, it's going to be SZN, who has taken a face full of bullets, but still looks like they're just going to continue their harassment.
It was a little bit of a slow start for them in game number 1, but they're turning things around here. Again, fighting around this tunnel. BR Demons just kind of holding the line right now as well as they can. SEN fortunately able to get the res back, get back up to full strength, as now they're deciding to just push on in and see what they can get.
Like this, just follow it up. You already got some damage off of it. Clean is going to go down, but just continue the press. You've got the advantage. You've had the man advantage, so now it's just a matter of slowing it, at least to get the territory control. But it looks like the third party's coming in, and that's going to draw the attention back over to him. A good spray to open it up off the start. Now the reset coming out, and it's going to be SZN that finds themselves suddenly sandwiched between two squads. Nightmare's going to be the one that came up back behind this one, and with 2 members down, that is going to be a problem for SZN.
Oh, SCN, it looks like Nightmare having to pull back away because of, I can only assume, a 4th party that got involved. And yeah, you can see SCN, they still have Kenny, and they'll get Clane back up as well. So full reset on the part of SCN, but that is great news if you're a BR Demons fan, because they were about to get hard crashed here. But it looks like SCN now going to turn their full attention over back towards Nightmare.
And now this has led into an awkward situation as we are right along the ring itself. Nightmare holding down this area right now. They have the control. Look back into the tunnel itself. 2 different teams are trying to lock into it. You can see already hitting in on some health. They're already starting to farm up damage hitting on those purples. They're expecting a certain amount of angles to come into this one, but I like this. Just step away, reset, play the gatekeep from further away.
And there you go, SCN. They have gotten into this hard cover. They've, as we saw, got all 3 back up, and it looks like, yeah, as you said, Nightmare just going to have to pull way back out into the zone just to go for that hard reposition. And looks like SCN, they'll just lose track. Either lose track or just going to go ahead and let them kind of do their thing, which is fine.
This circle is so much smaller than it actually looks, though, Poor. With all of mountains and stuff like that, that's dead zones that people can't play in. That's going to lead into a lot of independent fights in different areas. And a lot of the circle lines up with the choke points around Countdown as well. So this is going to lead up into a very interesting endgame.
Nice little reposition from phase 1 there. They find an empty compound. It is outside of the circle, but at least they found somewhere to call home for the time being while everybody's starting to make their way in from that south side. We see Karma, Psycho, the rest of Slept On squad starting to push in, and they might catch Bad Boys slipping here if Bad Boys isn't careful.
I mean, what you gonna do? Bad Boys, they've got some goals coming in off of it. Good spray coming out, getting some damage out, looking through, trying to make sure that they're avoiding any forms of range. Now doing the prep up, and they're starting to get set up the way they want to. Rambro is going to go down, though, trying to make sure that they're avoiding the shots coming out of range, but that's the problem. The third party comes in unexpectedly, and now just down to 1 member. It's going to be Slept On back behind them that does the damage.
Yeah, you could see it happening in real time. Slept On just kind of coming in right behind, and Bad Boys just... they had the idea that it was a good idea for the push, but it just took a hair too long, and Slept On was able to get into a better spot there to do a little bit of third party, and it works out well for them. Here's Slept On now, turning their attention over towards that compound. I'm not even sure if there's anybody who's still in there or how many there are, and it looks like they're going to try to make the push now. Oh,
no.
Try to get out with the valet.
Yep. Ooh, not going to be enough. It was scary. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and give them a little bit more as they go out, so that way they can land in the middle of this with that health.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. That is...
They find a spot.
Harsh. How?
Nice. Okay, Locks. I see you. I somehow survived this one. Buff aim assist. Making the the gutsiest dive ever. And it works out, for at least for now, anyway.
Yeah, I like to play the box, man. You don't know what's going on over here. Try to get some type of idea. At least listen in for gunshots.
Yeah, they've got no clue as to what they pushed into here. But you know what? They're all 3 up. They're all 3 alive. And they'll live to fight another day here as we check back in with P1, Phase 1. Trying to hold off first attempt. Nice spray there from Go. And we'll get them down. Oh, so many shields knocked here, and yeah, it looks like P1 might be in trouble.
First attempt, they've got to angle into this one. Yeah, just continue to press it. I like the leapfrog into it. One walks in, takes a face full of damage. Shield goes down, steps in, lets his teammate come in. That is some solid teamwork.
Really clean stuff there. Taking no knocks, immediately back up, and now look at their reward. They have the entire western side of that new zone to themselves, at least for now, as we've got a few fights on the north on the edge of this zone that still need to play out. Looks like Risen Rose and Team Diverge very close to each other, but avoiding each other for the time being. Just high-low terrain. Not going to be forcing them to get involved just yet, but this has been going on for like 3 circles now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's whenever we look at the
just
full
countdown things.
You know, it's whenever you go over here, it can support a lot of teams, and that's kind of what we're seeing going on. Still 14 squads alive, but that's going to be a lot of weakened squads coming in off this one. Nightmare coming in from the north. They do have SZN. That's going to be who they're looking at right now. And so with the rundown, they might actually have a pretty open path, except for Team Smiley, who's going to be playing, looks like, both sides of the choke point to the south of them.
Well, they still have that Velcult if they decide to use it, but that's the problem, man, is you never really know. Like you want to sit here and you're trying to scout out as much as you can to find where the shots might come from, just so you can make sure that you'll be able to take off from this. And here we go. I think the run looks like they had a pretty good idea where everybody is, but where do you go now?
Wing and a prayer. Looks like they're just going to send along a similar path. And actually, as this is going on, there's multiple jumps coming out from this. And at the exact same time that Smiley's making a reposition, that's allowing, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams look like they're all converging onto this one position. Never mind. Idem is going to pull away from it, but Smiley now finds themselves with a target plentiful environment and has got to be careful. They're going to step away. And remember, we saw this area just a moment ago. So now it's just going to be defending up corners, and this is kind of nuts. Everybody's kind of got their own little secret spot, and nobody can see each other for it.
Everybody landing right on top of each other. Buff aim assist. Remember, they were holding down this tunnel moments ago all by themselves, and all of a sudden they got a very close friend in Team Smiley right on top of them. Big shots come through from Key. Will keep them at bay for the time being. You can see Nightmare getting eliminated in the kill feed there. As there's just, it's like 4 ults, 4 flyboys all at once, all around the map, and everybody just kind of falling on top of each other. There's now buff aim assist getting pushed from both sides. They're holding it on for dear life. As Key, now the last one up, can try to do something else. No, buff aim assist will get taken down.
This is going to be a set of dominoes every single move now. You can see how just clustered this is. All these teams right up on top of each other. As this is the contained areas. We're looking, I believe, into the north. Yep, this is going to be the area that is actually going to get circle favor. So that means the fact that the teams that we were looking down to the south are going to have to be making some move. SZN trying to make sure that they secure this one up. They've got themselves some high ground, but don't want to overpeak, because that feels like that's the recipe for disaster right now, as just one down is just going to lead a shark-feeding frenzy.
I mean, you say circle favor, but I feel like you got to put the biggest air quotes around it, because
that's
the
true.
it's like the outside of the wall on the north side of Countdown is out, and that's where a number of our teams kind of are right now. The next zone is going to force them to kind of push their way in to this area that has a little bit less cover. Well, that is just a lot of Watson walls, isn't it?
This is going to be the worst place to walk through ever, because we saw a lot of Watsons coming out. I don't even know where we're going to be going on in this one. Who I do want to point out, I think was higher up on the leaderboard than we saw them whenever we saw the leaderboard a second ago. So we're going to have to see the overall. I know that there were a couple of people that were talking about that one. We'll check back in with how that's going to stack up. But now, really, it's going to be about how they're going to make their move on this one. They do have one team in front of them, really, is their only big contender that they're going to have to deal with to at least make it into the zone. Then they have to deal with the firing wall, the wall of death in the north, that is just going to be causing the problem. But hey, now that we're starting to see a fight break out over here, this means the fact that teams in the south are going to have a free opportunity to move.
Well, they're going to have to do something quickly. As you see SCN now trying to hold off the pushes. There's just a number of teams fighting on that northwestern side. Plane going to find one, Makulo going to find another. as SCN starting to show up here now in game number 2.
I mean, they've got control over this area, but they've got to be careful with the way that these lineups are coming. It's just a matter of making sure that they don't have anybody that sneaks in back behind them. Tunnel vision is going to be the death, but with the way that they're playing this right now, they're doing a good job on forcing everybody away with the lineup coming in. You see Vizzy walks right up into that one, and now has to retreat. Bubble's going to come out on the other side of it, but I don't know. SCN does not want to overextend into this one because they still have another team that's trying to jump up back behind them.
More big shots coming in from Hakulo, as somehow SCN has been able to keep everybody up and alive here. And another big shot. Look at the damage coming through from the SCN boys, and the hard push from Klein will get it done. Now SCN has that high ground. They are looking real nice for this late game.
Into it, it's going to be Smiley that was playing the opposite side, and that one gets control over the low ground that they took a couple of shots at. But now it's going to be a 3-team stack right in this position as SCN, yes, they do get the high ground, but we do have a couple of, I guess, weakened players that are still going to be crawling in, and I believe it's going to be Mike and Ike, MJ, and Klein that are all about to have to make a desperate move into a very stacked area.
Well, you aren't kidding. Desperate is definitely the word for it here. Is first attempt have to leave their little hidey hole here. They're getting a little. At least they're getting defended by SCN from the high ground, and it looks like they'll be able to keep most of their players up. I think all 3 actually here, as first attempt will stay alive. Now Smiley once again. Smiley in the late game, all 3 up. They have, the oh, they do. Oh, no.
Jumping down into it, you can see SZN makes a small mistake that gets big punishment. Looking in, they want to make sure that they take this one out, but there's just a stack. All the aim coming in after him. SZN tries to go for some more on it, but first attempt does manage to hold the line up on it. SZN is eliminated, but that's going to be Smiley that now comes in back behind this one. They're wanting to jump onto it, but the spin around comes up big. Gamut's already down, saying Lincoln still just trying to hold it up, and it's going to be Smiley that picks it up again.
Back-to-back wins for Team Smiley. And Matt, they had no right to win that game.
Oh no!
Like, how do they win that game?
They did a great job in defending in an area. SCN played the high ground, did some help on them. But whenever SCN made that move in, that was so well played by Smiley. It's the second time we've seen a very late game shift into position and then just burn people off of it. While everybody else was fighting on the wall, they jumped out, moved around to that eastern area, and then everybody had to move out from then. Everybody else had to fight, and then they just got to choose whatever they wanted to aggress in, and that was so well played.
I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, we talked about how the fact that last zone was not going to favor that north side of the wall, and that's where Team Smiley was. Somehow they managed to fight their way in. They managed to survive with 3 up out of all that nonsense. All the teams that were still on the high ground before SEM managed to kind of finish off everybody else, but Smiley just picking the right times, picking their best. Oh my goodness, what is happening?
Rolling out there. Okay. I think he was looting there is what's happening. I don't think that was teabagging. If that was like the most deep fake, I would say, teabag that I think I've ever seen right there, right?
We're deep faking teabagging now. We're deep faking BM. That's what we do here. But
we're trying to bring some more into the story for everybody, right?
Yeah. Everybody. Really good fight here with Nightmare. I'm surprised that they actually won it. Kalando really gave him everything they could handle. Nightmare probably should have won that a little bit more cleanly than they ended up doing it. But again, cutting back to Team Smiley, 2 wins in a row. Fantastic. They're in beautiful position for the rest of today. But SCN, another really, they had a bad game in game number 1, managed to turn things around that time, and they look pretty damn dominant on that high side there.
Well, I mean, we talk about that all the time, right? Poro, it's the points per game. That's really what you're aiming for. So whenever getting 2 wins, that's great. That means that your points per game are going to be really, really high.
It's huge.
But also, whenever you have a bad game, making sure that you can count.
Man,
kills, man.
Where did they get all those kills?
I think that they were the ones that were fighting in this area. Weren't they the ones that were playing in the
Yeah, they were the low side. They were on the low side, kind of holding the other tunnel. And damn, man, apparently they managed to get a whole bunch of kills for their troubles. 14 for first attempt. Really nice work by them.
Well, that's going to help points per game lined up, which is Team Smiley walking away with 22 as well. That's going to be a ridiculous points per game. Now then, looking in, who having themselves a good game, as well as Team Revenge. We're seeing a very top-heavy kill selection, as that's going to be the way it tends to roll whenever we're looking at the qualifiers. Not the highest diversity in kill counts. So that means the fact that a lot of these teams, while we are going to be looking for who's going to be walking away with first, also going to be looking at teams that can stack up the most points across everything. So we're really going to be making sure we're trying to keep an eye on the top 4 the most. So seeing SZN back in there, first attempt having a good return in this, and MMW even walking away with 12 points is going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, not too shabby there for MMW. I think that was how did they do in game number 1? I'm kind of looking to 0 points. But you know what? There's a number of teams here that got 0 points in their first game and managed to turn things around here in game number 2. Started to get themselves on the leaderboard here. As we check in the overall leaderboard, 2 wins in a row. That'll do pretty nicely for you there. Team Smiley sitting with 47 points.
Smiley being strong right now. First attempt going to be back behind them. Who is going to be at 19 points in third. Slept on going to be back behind that 1 point separating SZN. Bot's going to be back behind that in Revenge, as well as MMW, Bad Boys, and Diverge. I also want to point out, though, LTC Esports have had a good read on the circle twice. And so whenever they're trying to make no move in the ring, they just end up very, very surrounded.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the hit and miss of it, right? As we always talk about in battle royales, any time that you're having to make your way into a zone, is it better to be inside the zone or to be on the outskirts of the zone and trying to work your way in? And I mean, more and more once you get to the higher level lobbies where these teams are so good mechanically and so good at the shot calling and they commit to the full pushes, it almost feels like it's better to be working from the outside, working your way in, than to get that zone quote unquote luck or favor where you're just in a hard cover surrounded by a whole bunch of teams that want to kill you.
That's why sometimes you often see teams lean into, I guess, not quite the prime quotations I'm doing right now, location inside of a circle, but one that they have more vision around. Because like you can see, one of the things that LTC can do is they'll get into a good spot that has a lot of control of an area, but it is very, very hard to defend just because of the amount of approach areas that can come through it. So it takes a lot more to control that area, I would say, in like the mid game and those levels. So really you just end up with a stack of people around you, circle shifts away, and even if it's just you're right on the edge of the ring, that means that there's going to be like 3 teams right on the other side of you, and you're going to be in some trouble. And that gate position is going to be harsh. So I just wanted to give a shout out to LTC that I see that you guys are reading the circle really, really well. I just want to see, I want to see them be able to push it into the next level, make sure that they control the area as well, and then start picking up those placement points.
Well, it's tough too. I mean, right now when you basically find a spot that you can do good area control from, you can control kind of everything around you and do some nice ADR farming. You get good information about where everybody is, and then all of a sudden you get 5 Valkyls and the whole map just rearranges and you have no idea of where everybody is anymore. So it's tough. It's real tough late game. It's putting a lot of pressure on these IGLs. But so far, so good for some of these teams, especially Smiley. Team Smiley, all smiles right now, 2 wins in a row.
Ain't no breaks on this train right now. Already moving into game number 3.
Keep going.
We will give everybody a break after this one so that way the players can go to the restroom and do all that other good stuff.
No breaks.
We have to switch maps. You know, I need a break. I got to get some water.
Crack that whip. Water is for the weak.
Oh, Hydra Homies is so mad at you right now?
I am not a Hydra homie. I don't know, whatever the opposite of a Hydra homie is. Who knows?
A whiskey homie?
Oh, yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah,
that's what I am. Maybe that. Looking
through, and surprise, surprise, Thermal Station looks like it's got some friends. That's been kind of the name of the game so far. Circle at least does favor this southern area around Thermal. We got even the tree in play. So could lead to some fun, but hey, let's go ahead and jump right into our Thermal fun. It's bound to happen every single time.
Oof. Well, there you go. Yeah,
let them know, MMW. What you gonna do?
Make sure you spray them, considering you lost that twice now. You know.
Hey, you got to do the dominance once you finally win on it.
Obviously, yes, you have to. You kind of have to. I mean, I respect to MMW. They finally get that clean there onto BB or Bad Boys. Unfortunately for Bad Boys, man, they've been having some pretty decent games considering they've been kind of fighting their whole way through.
See, I always take the like shooting at the dead body as a sign of like respect for myself. I know it's not always intended that way, but if I pissed you off enough that you need to shoot my body, you're saying I'm a good player.
Let me just tell you, anytime I shoot the body, it's not respectful. I'm just being 100% real.
But I interpret it that way. That's the way I see it, right?
It's like the old Overwatch days of just the of just doing the Roadhog ult on a dead player, you know. Just let them know. Just let them know. Well, it's good to see things haven't changed here. As Smiley is also once again getting overlooked all of themselves. They have all day long, and so far it has worked a treat for them, as they have not had to deal with any early game fights. They can kind of come in late, do their own thing. But now, will it be the same for them once we make the map switch?
I just gotta say it. I love the fact that they get the smiley in back behind all of their names. That's like. Yeah. That is a very, very clean. You can see some long-range shots coming in as P1 is going to have to move away. Looks like move back into some defense. There's more of that early game skirmish. Is not enough that I think that we might see a pursuit, but this is just kind of that, like, again, try to see if you can, like, burn off some shield, maybe make somebody burn through some, like, meds, something like that.
Yeah, buff aim assist, just being a nuisance. Do you think the fact that they have player named Locks and Key is intentional?
It should be. I think that. I don't know why there isn't more behind the name regarding that.
Honestly, my buff aim assist lore that I've just created right now, that is intentional. It's Locks and Key. They're besties, and they created names that make sense together. I'm going with it. Bots will take the high ground here. This might be more scouting than anything, because these guys are broke when it comes to loot at the moment.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes, as I think that we can see the lineup for the next circle is going to lean into Thermal. So, really, this is the running whites at this stage is going to be bad for any fights that are going to be coming.
Nobody's happy to be running whites right now.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. They're just kind of figuring out where they want to go next, and it looks like the far side is going to be the option. Ooh. Well, maybe now
at least they're up high where people can shoot them, and then they can make them like they can try to like make them better.
It's so weird watching and not seeing Gibby, isn't it?
It's a change.
Like I feel like I mean I cast not a lot of Apex, but quite a bit of competitive Apex, and it just seems so weird that we've just moved on from Gibby. It's like, I don't know what to think about it.
See, I like the speed of the present meta.
Yeah,
it's
like,
fun to watch.
I'm
it's
all
like
about
visceral.
it.
People are all over the place.
It's fun, and it's I think this is a more entertaining meta for sure. And the hard repositions, it throws a wrench into things that I love seeing how these teams try to work around it and try to fix fight their way out of bad situations. But I miss my bubble boy.
Well, Stick Drift OP in some trouble here right now, as they did land on the rock, but they're going to land right next to where we saw P1 just a second ago playing from. So, we have two teams around them, and yep, this is going to be where the problems start to mount up. So, going to go ahead and bring out a new castle, so get some evolution coming out. This is at least going to be kind of defended. You don't got yourself a bubble boy, but you got something kind of close to it.
It didn't work. Holy moly.
It was also two teams that had a rock for cover. So.
Absolutely pounded from all sides. That is unfort. Well, okay. Like phase one, we'll go and see if they can pick up something off of that. It won't be a whole lot, but nothing else. Just a little bit more batteries and ammo if needed. LTC have that high ground. Looks like they may have spotted out who just underneath them.
And the rotations that seem to always be mirroring each other. Somehow, it's going to be SZN ending up next to Smiley, but I like the fact that Smiley says, this might not be the best way to play this one. They learn from Anakin and says, we don't want to make the push into the high ground. Instead, steps away, finds themselves a compound a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I will say that's something that I have been kind of noticing about some of these better teams in the lobby, or the teams that have been performing well, is just really, really good fight selection.
Yeah.
You can't just mindlessly W key into everything, but you also have to be able to make the call when you feel like you have an advantage. And Team Smiley has been really, really good at that so far here today, obviously with 2 wins on the board. MMW now, a little bit of a scrap of their own.
Stepping around, that 101 is going to make them want to push around some more for it, but don't want to go too far, so instead lean into their defenses, and looks like they're just going to go ahead and make sure that they're not getting assaulted from different angles, and it looks like it's calming down. Looking back over the map, it's kind of hard to see exactly what's going on, because there's like a lot of teams around this area. So
sure is.
Well, I don't know exactly how the rotation came out of that one. As you can see, there's just a few teams on top of each other around Thermal Station.
I mean, we still got quite a bit going on the north side. I mean, it seems like Risen Rose, this has been kind of the play here. Risen Rose and Team Diverge, teams that have kind of been down to make that late rotation, that late wrap, as looks like they're going to take a few shots in their back here from Boat and Psycho, the rest of the slept-on squad on this north side. But now Risen Rose turning their attention back over there as the missiles will trade back and forth.
This is an awkward fight because this is
a
so
real weird one, isn't it?
This is like almost a whole circle away from the circle. Fluxon's gonna go down. They're still trying to defend it up, but no matter who wins this, they still have TD that's going to be holding out after this. That's still also down the circle either. So I'm kind of curious to see how the play comes out off of this one. So Rez is going to come out. Everything is getting stalled. We're getting some good damage between the two, but nobody's moving. If anything, it's just TD that's going to be able to come in back behind this one in third party.
Yeah, this is a fight that, like you said, it's just not really good for anybody. Risen Rose, it's unfortunate Fluxon took that knock when they did, because Trev had a nice little flank angle on that. But had to pull away as Team Diverge. It looks like they're finally, everybody's just going to kind of pull away. Here's now, see who it is. It's Karma, the last one up.
Last member for Slept On, correct?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. Karma, the last one up for Slept On. So, not sure if they got the knocks and be able to get the revives off, but we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it. Team Smiley, they involved in an early game fight here for once. Seems the Song just kind of pushed in and now pull away as Team Smiley taking a lot of deep damage.
That was an adventure, right? Sometimes you got to scout with, like, you got a lot of tools. Like, you got a seer, you got all these other things. Sometimes you can scout with bullets, too. You know, just got to make sure. You can see the lineup, and it's awkward over here right now, as I can't even count the amount of people that are around this area. Everybody's got themselves their own floor, their own little corner that they're playing from. As you can see who is on one area of this. They've got some friends that are going to be just above them. As I believe that was going to be Smiley that we saw a moment ago, and it's just going to continue all the way up the skyscraper.
Now, once again, it's just teams on top of teams on top of teams. A lot of teams, majority of teams, opting for crashing these circles early and just taking that hard cover, setting up with the Watson and waiting to see what happens. Hey, there's my boy, great sword. Respect, dog. You're still running the Gibby. I love it. As yeah, I mean, this is basically the meta that we're seeing right now. You got our teams that are coming in and setting up these tower defense kind of situations, and then you got the teams that are making their way in super late, valking in, basically blind for the most part. But we'll see if it pays off for them. As once again, Risen Rose and TD, like they're getting real close to each other over here by Harvester.
This has been the fight that's been going on for forever. We checked in with them along the edge of the last zone. And now they're just going to continue on their merry way. With the way the new circle's lined up, they're going to have to take a fight. Looks like Risen Rose is starting to get some advantage into it, but there are also third parties that are going to get some vision in, so they have got to be very careful. Risen Rose now looking in. They do take out Team Diverge, so the fight that never ends finally does end. But now they've got to be careful. Aiden the Destroyer, the rest of the team can look into this one. Also, do want to point out Karma is still alive and probably 3,000 miles away in the north and lands.
Oh, here comes BR Demons. They're coming in at the perfect time there. Take a big chunk of damage out of that seer. As Reeds finds a little bit of an angle here, and it looks like they're catching Risen Rose a little bit split. And wait, somebody else is coming as well. That's SCN coming in. SCN actually pushing from inside the zone, pushing out. And they're going to run into Risen Rose as well. So a lot of third partying going on up here. Yeah, as you said, Karma's still alive too.
I also do want to point out we saw Team Smiley get eliminated, I believe, right there in the kill feed. So
first time for everything.
We're going to see at least a new face that's going to take away the win inside this round. But worry not for Smiley, as they're probably still smiling after the amount of points they got those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, they're feeling pretty good about things. They're feeling good about their World's Edge adventure here so far today. We'll see if they can reproduce that once again on our second map. As look at this, here we go. And buff aim assist starting to creep in on the outside. I don't even know if that. I feel like most of that damage was probably done from range, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of harsh to be playing from. Buff aim assist, taking shots in. You can see it's all about playing sneaky angles, and I believe on the opposite end of this one, it's going to be LTC. Yep, Not Daniel's going to go down. And this is where we saw the push come out a second ago. Lox is going to go down, and that's going to be almost flushed out there and finally going to bleed out. Now it's just going to be key. And Zeno's last one's up. Going to at least pick up the banner, but now got to be careful, as this is where a lot of vision is going to become a thing. Because I don't even, how many? We got 13 squads alive, and I feel like maybe 9 of them are all around this area.
Yeah, this is going to be rough, especially if this thing decides to cut hard north. It's going to be tough as we. Karma's still alive, still hiding. BR Demons now getting involved. We're actually going to go down to Vayne. BR Demons getting involved with, I think that's SZN, isn't it? Slept On. Okay, Slept On going to be the one that goes down as BR Demons. They will lose Reeds. And, again, it kept from distance here, man. The range, this thermal station is just, that high ground and thermal station has been paying off. As far as ADR farming, at least.
You were talking about it beforehand. Some people, and they're like the way that they choose to rotate into circles, a big factor in it is also the location. Rotating into thermal has a lot of benefits because it can hold down a lot of locations. And then it's only if it shifts away, but it tends to not do that due to the way that the lava and everything else comes around here. So an early move into thermal feels so much better than... Reason why, as you can see what's going on, is as you can see Rose trying to come into this one, and it's painful.
I mean, I'm kind of liking. It's going to be interesting to see how this north side decides to play out, because you got a couple of big name teams up there. BR Demons still up there. Risen Rose, as you mentioned, up there as well. Just everybody north of the lava, essentially, just kind of waiting to see what happens here on the southwestern side with thermal. And I mean, you still got 1, 2, 3, 4 teams on the outside, and then 2 right on top of each other in the tower. Bots holding down the low side.
This is harsh.
This is going to be rough.
Yeah,
this is going to be real rough.
Everybody that's outside the ring right now is going to have a difficult rotation around thermal because, yes, as you said, some of the towers still in play, but so many teams are going to have to move. P1 has every single angle is going to be cut off from. VR Demons are at least going to shift around to the north, find themselves an angle, and they're also going to find themselves a team. Get some damage out on it. Vayne does lose shields, but it looks like they're starting to find some good angles onto it. He is going to take these bullets, so he's going to also have to step around. It's going to be Risen Rose that's going to be defending up, still in strong shield position. Also holding down around this rock means it's a contained fight. But they do have one of their members go down. Now going to have a second one. That reset coming out of Demons, coming up big.
And Demons finding 2. They're going to find them all. Risen Rose gets taken down. And now BR Demons should be able to reset. Yep, no one anywhere near them. But you see P1 already starting to make moves here. I'm actually curious as to how many more Val cults we might see. It's seen a couple at the end. It was looking like it might be a little bit dangerous here in the late game, given how big of a influence that thermal station is. 2 teams on top of it. But it looks like, at least for now, the early ones will get away with it.
Phase 1 did manage to jump over everybody, but you can see it puts them pretty close to Torchlight, as well as Cobra and Blinkser. LTC inside the circle, but they've got themselves some friends right next to them. Looks like they're going to try to make their push in. One already down. Mantic's going to go down, and there you go. LTC Esports does go down in, I believe, the 9th place position.
Oh, they do, and new zone's going to pop again going to the north, so if BR Demons can hold this off, they might be in a great position here. And the question is, how many more kills can they get? You can see they're spreading out. Vayne, Aiden, all trying to get multiple angles just to see if they can find something down here on the low side, the third party, as MMW will heal back up, reset. They've got the Valk. They can move again. This is the other thing, is that you've got all these Valks that they could eventually just maybe drop right on top of BR Demons' heads. And they wouldn't even know it. I mean, it could be any number of teams that decide to make that push.
The problem is, if you jump in, you're jumping into such an open area, and I feel like we're going to see some desperation leaps coming out. But yeah, I think it's just going to be more go for KP, because at least you can make the play into it. Good read by bots. Gets a nice drop and pick off on it. Thumb's going to step away from it before he goes down. It's going to be a follow-up on the other side. The other team member is going to go ahead and try to step away, reset a little bit. JQ taking a lot of damage as well. So now Stallone having to make sure to get back into position. But again, it's going to be the Apex lifestyle. In this area, everybody's going to see this firefight and see, hey, there's a chance for KP over here. Multiple teams now starting to converge and see if they can look into it. But there's starting to be mini fights that are breaking out all over the place. Nobody overcommitting yet.
And EKD get everybody back up. They're still in the kind of a rough spot here. But the problem for bots is that they're getting pitched from far, from long range here. And yeah, they're going to lose two. Stompy's now the last one up. I'm going to try to survive a little bit longer as the solo if possible. And now EKD will have to leave as well, as they are beaten, battered, and bruised. They're going to find one. Oh, he's going to go down, though.
Oh, the holding of the line is so strong right now. Trying to make sure that they keep it together. MJ trying to get the shots out. He's going to go down now. Silent looking into this one. Last one up, trying to make sure he can get the play in. Actually, no, sorry. Mike is still up as well. And so just got the res off on that one, I believe. Yep. And so now should be able to pick up the banner, but coming in pretty weak, as this hillside is going to be the cover to be found, as this is an awkward fight.
Oh man, props to MMW for being the team that makes it out of there, as they they managed to keep two alive, at least for the time being. BR Demons, though, still have that high ground position. They still have control, although it looks like they're starting to get a little bit pushed here from the north by Blinkers, Cobra. The rest of that squad, this is just avoiding, it's just all LOS right now.
Yeah, and the teams at the top, they've got some tools. You can see they have a lot of crates around them just due to the rotations that came in beforehand. But that doesn't mean that anybody's comfortable in the spot. You can see it's going to be at least the hillsides capable of, with the curve of the hill itself, being able to block sightlines. So all four teams capable of getting some type of defense inside of it. But this is a peculiar place to fight, as the way that this is going to go down, it's going to be a game of chicken almost. On whoever moves first is going to be the first to die.
So wee baguette trying to land that long range damage in. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It feels like this is going to be, these teams are just basically taking long range shots here, waiting for these the low side teams to get involved, to force them to make a play, and to get into that third party. So right now it's just trading util, trading shots. BR Demons keeping pretty much everybody safe here, but unfortunately for them, wee baguette doing the same thing here. Okay, might be forced into a fight here soon.
Trying to see if they can make something around this one work. Looking down, fish in a barrel, gets some damage out, but now have to step away. Nades coming up back behind them, as they are now heavily pinched. BR Demons trying to look between. They at least do manage to right the ship for just a second, but all three teams now stacked on top of each other is going to be massive for Mike and Ike, as well as Silent, who are playing right along the edge of this. Teams that are now up at the top, looking down into the low ground, trying to see if they can get some more shots into it, but it is two different low grounds, as Great Sword and the rest of his team are looking into the angle. Now BR Demons doesn't have a choice. They're having to make a move down, but there's going to be just right into another team, catching some more air, looking into what's going to be happening into it. All four squads still up. BR Demons still clinging to their shields, as finally Vayne is going to go down. Aid the Destroyer going to be jumping into an enemy shield behind a teammate shield just to try to get a spray off. Does get one down, looks in, but finally goes down.
Oh, BR Demons will go down. And that is a hell of a hold there by Who, as Greatsword, Vise still down. Wave going to try to survive a little bit longer. As how many? I'm trying to even see who's left here.
It's Silent on one side and projects. I think this is just a 1v1v1.
Oh, big shots coming through. Oh no! There you go. We will go down. Nice shots. Will take out Cobra. Can Wave do it? The solo play, and yes, MMW will take the win. Silent pulling it off.
Man, after the desperation escape out of Thermal, playing the low side of the hill, just clinging right next to the lava for life. MJ, Mike, Ike, Wizard, Coin, Silent. Do you manage to make it through? That was crazy there at the end.
That's a wild finish, man. I mean, the high ground. I mean, it felt like Demons was in a great spot, and they were in a great spot with Wee Wee Baguette until the zone finally shifts away. And unfortunately for them, MMW, after ballsy, great fight to make their way out of Thermal, only made it out with 2 as well, and just kind of stood around, held their ground, just waited for the perfect opportunity to come in there in third, fourth party, and oh man. Props to Wave, man, from Who. That almost pulls it off.
I mean, there was a lot of ways that fight could have gone. I do want to point out that Silent had a very good read on what was happening and was playing that, I believe it was the western side of the circle. So with the stack of bodies that were laying down, being used as a shield, not the cleanest vision, and timed whenever the jump came out on one side, the assault in on the other. And again, you just got to read. You've been talking about it. Boro. It's so much about the threat assessment, the risk reward positioning, and the way of playing. And I love the way that we're seeing that come out, because that's really what we're looking at with Apex, right? Sure, the gunplay is a big factor for it, but if you can't get into the position to make the gunplay work, not going to do you any good.
Yeah, tough terrain there in game number 3. Tough late game zone shifts, and in the end, it is going to be MMW that comes out the victor in game number 3. And again, though, I mean, we still have to give credit to Team Smiley. Now we've made it through 3 games. Team Smiley back to back in game 1 and in game 2. So World's End looking really good for them, setting themselves up for a really nice second half of the day here. I'm really interested to see how they decide to play this one out going forward.
Oh yeah, this was interesting just because of the fact of the way it stepped away from Thermal at the end. It would be one of the times to say, oh, it never really likes to leave Thermal, and then the next 2 circles instantly jump away.
And jumps away. Yeah.
It just do be like that.
A little bit.
But, I mean, it leads to a very desperate situation for these teams, and you can see the fact that MMW just did a good job on navigating a desperate play over here. And you can see this is them coming into that hillside. They're playing down low, off screen, inside the circle. You can't even see them. So as all of the strong teams that were up here that still had all of their members up jump in on top of each other, they get to choose when they assault in, and man, it is just really well read.
Oof. So close, man. So close for Wave there. I mean, you saw at the end, Silent was, one hit away. But there you go. MMW, 14 kills, 26 points with the win. Who right there in second place with 15 points as well. Wee Wee Baguette, get to see them in a little bit of late game action there.
Also want to point out, we do not even see on this one right now Smiley. So that means the fact that could open up the chance for somebody to start assaulting up into that first place position. Because remember, who does get first is going to get themselves a qualification spot. So one game, I don't think is going to be problematic, but we're going to have to see how well Smiley can string this one together. As with this, yep, we can see MMW does sneak up, just 10 points back behind him now.
Man, that is tough, man. You get back-to-back wins, and you still are only holding on to a 10-point lead going into the second half of the day. So job's not done by any means for Team Smiley. So we'll have to see if they can put something together on Storm Point to find a little bit of the same amount of success that they were able to pull off here in the first half of the day. But like we said, 3 more games left to play, Matt.
And 4 teams tied at 17 points right now. I think it was SZN, Slept On, Risen Road. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Well, we're going to take a quick break, guys. Go grab yourself some water. Take that bathroom break real quick. Set yourself up for the final 3 games of the day. We will be right back. Hey, how's it going? We are getting ready for the second half of the day. I am Poor Source. He is Matchroom. And this is the ALGS qualifiers, week number 3. So far, Smiley putting on a heck of a show through World's End.
Yeah, but we did see a nice play come out from MW after that one, picking up a strong game. As we still have a couple of contenders that are eyeing to come after them. I think it was 10 points and then 14 points, and we've been seeing some of these kill counts. That is doable.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that's probably the most surprising thing to me so far is that Smiley, with those 2 wins, still only has a 10-point lead on MMW in second. So by no means is Smiley's work done for the day. They're gonna have to put something here together on Storm Point to try to secure that victory, to secure that ALGS spot for themselves. Now, even if they don't win, even if you're a team in this, if your favorite team doesn't win, it's not all done. Keep in mind, there are still 4 spots available for the top point scorers as well from these qualifiers. And again, those are by person, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's the interesting part about this one, and that's why we're talking about there could be some interesting roster swaps coming up very, very soon, because you get these points based off of not just your team, but you yourself as a player have it. So that means, like, let's say you know some friends that are playing pretty well, and you can merge back together and get yourself a pretty high point total. Get yourself a spot.
Get yourself a spot. So indeed, we'll see how that all happens. I mean, that'll probably be more of a thing in coming weeks for sure. But right now, focus on the task at hand. Let's get these dubs, get the win, get the points, and try to secure your spot through a first place finish here today. Team Smiley so far in the lead, but again, only by 10 points. And now we are coming up on the map swap. So we'll see if they can put together a little bit of that magic they saw in the first half of the night.
And this is going to be pretty fun. Now that we've made the step away from World's Edge, whenever we look at Storm, it has the chance to create a lot more dynamic fights depending on the location, as it's a very diverse set of biomes. I mean, to the south is far more open. As we move our way up to the north, it's got much more verticality that comes into play, specifically just areas that are like complete mountainsides, and not quite as thick of mountains. So that means the fact that we might not see what happened in Circle 2, if you remember that so much of it was mountainside. So we'll have to see how this lines out with this first circle being a lot of water.
Yeah, now you also get everybody's favorite PvE action. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know everybody loves that. Get in there, get a few animal kills if you're so inclined. Phase 1, they're gonna find somebody right off the bat. Nice shots coming through with the G7. We'll get at least one knock here, as Upsuchi gonna be the one that goes down here. A trade, though.
Let's get another one back on this one, so has to be careful into it. Continuing the shot.
The jump shot.
Oh, phase 1 trying to make this one work. They've got the angle into it. Purple shield's on the other side, but it means in fact there's a chance to escape, finally hitting some health. But Rowdy Life looks like they're going to continue the press. 2 different angles. There you go. Spotted out.
There you go, phase 1. Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh.
A punch to finish it out.
Galando, no. Well, that was unceremonious. But you know what? Good early game fight from phase.
Oh, we're not done.
Of course they're going to come out here. Oui, baguette. They want a piece of this.
We're on Store Point. You don't have an independent fight without a third party coming in at some stage. So, phase 1, I hope you had a good chance of getting yourself back into a decent spot. You got your Mozambique prepped. It looks like they at least have an idea on how the assault's going to be coming in. This is going to be a low economy fight, though.
Indeed it is. As Oui Baguette feeling themselves a little bit here.
Ooh.
Pushing in. As, I don't think they have a... Did they lose?
They realize the fight's already over. And
yeah,
I don't think that they don't
go
want
ahead and pull on out, yeah. Yeah, no, I can't really blame him for that one. I think tried to make a push for the third party, realized that the fight got cleaned up fairly quickly, and so now we back at maybe still go for a little gatekeep here if you're feeling frisky, but you don't really have to. I mean, we back at kind of in the driver's seat as far as this one goes.
Yeah, it looks like P1 is also leaning into the south, so they'll find themselves another loot location. They can wrap through that, maybe go through Stormcatcher or something else. So Oui Baguette at least gets the moral victory of forcing them away, but that's about it.
That's right. They flexed really hard, and the other person was like, "Oh my God, those muscles! Get me out of here!" That's what happened. By the way, did you know that Oui Baguette, French for yes, baguette?
I had no idea, bro.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you brought that one to me.
You're welcome. I'm an international man, and I speak many languages.
See how we got this one lined up.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did want to point out with the fight we were watching a second ago with P1 is that might if that happens again, they end up in that early game fight against Galindo, then we might see a faster rotation over there next time. So now having that hand shown, we'll have to keep an eye on how that happens in the next two games.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on here. As Team Diverge has the high ground, taking a few shots down towards Slept On. It looks like they'll be okay for now. LTC going to lose one there. As Lox, Key, and Zainu from Buff Aim Assist. I'm actually curious. I didn't see the kill feed on that one, so I'm not sure if LTC is just completely eliminated or if they just lost one or two. But either way, keep an eye on it. Here's Who now under the watchful gaze of Team Diverge. Got the whip up there, too.
Yep. This is a pretty decent life to have for yourself. High ground, vision, easy rotations away from. You can see that now lined back over here inside the caves itself. It's getting a little bit more complicated. His Vayne takes a lot of damage. Assistance and defense coming out from teammates when it's needed. Good jobs coming out from Reeds to provide the cover to let that shield come out.
The moans. I mean, you gotta imagine Stompies and the rest of the crew probably felt like they had the upper hand in that one. This bots making the push in, but BR Demons, man, the angles, just completely repositioning on bots and catching them off guard here. Really well done there by Reeds. Looking the Bloodhound too.
I'm just curious to see how bots is wanting to move into this one. The way that the high ground is lined up with Reeds into this, it looks like they feel that they might have spotted out Jake off to the side. And are they trying to pursue into this? No, I think it's just a similar escape path. Nope. They have their sights set on. They want vengeance.
This, man, look, far be it from me to be the one that knows what the meta is. But this feels like BR Demons playing some pocket picks here with Reeds on the Bloodhound. You got Vayne still on the Seer, of course, and then Aiden rocking the Horizon. I mean, this does not feel like something I see a lot of. I'll just say that.
It's I want to come after you, squad, to say the least. They are if they can get close enough to somebody, they're going to have a field day of information. I feel like that's what they were trying to exploit just a second ago. Now they're going to just continue to capitalize with it, and hey, it's working for them.
Goodbye, Jalone. Now checking back in with Risen Rose as they find themselves in a nice little scrap here. Going to get one knock onto Blinkzer. Nice little angle here. Trying to actually see where the rest of Wee Wee Baguette is, as Risen Rose just kind of catches them off guard. It looks like I knew might be the last. No, this is actually another third party fight. Good God.
Got buff aim assist, yeah.
Can we please get team tags? Please. Well,
look at it this way. You're not going to have to worry about it too much because the new circle has popped and just everybody's on top of each other. So
there we go.
Zainu's at least going to take down Trevor Stacks. That's going to be a flush out. And now it's going to get interesting because we are all the way across the map over here. So I believe it's Plug Cube is going to be all by his lonesome now.
Speaking of pocket picks.
Yep.
Bringing out the Bango. Let's go, Zainu.
Got some strength on this map.
Yeah. Let's get a little looting done here for Buff Aim Assist. Again, R down to 2. We'll see if they can maybe try to get around. I'm kind of looking where they are on the map. They might be able to pull it off anyway. Team Smiley, still 3 strong. And have a nice little spot in the north side of this zone. Now, they do have a couple of teams just off to their side here. And yeah, there's one of them, Rambro and the Bad Boys making their way through. It looks like they're just going to pass right on.
This is a heavy Western lean in the circle. Sure, the circle did kind of lean to the west to start, and the second circle did follow it. But all the players were already over here. Only about half of this circle really has people in it. So these teams that are coming in later means the fact that they're going to find themselves in open area, and all these teams that are already kind of cemented in position to the west, are very, very stacked up on top of each other. Sure, you can kind of play this area with as many teams, but for this circle and this timing, this is very, very heavy in this location.
I mean, we can see the scrapping going on right here on the very far southwest. Everybody just eating that zone damage. Slept on. I mean, they looked good in game number 1, but kind of fell off a little bit in 2 and 3. We'll see if they can pull it back together here now. The map swapped. They've managed to keep 3 up there in a little bit of a rough spot on this southern side, but it looks like they'll be able to pull away from the BR Demons for now. But BR Demons are kind of making their way in as well, so we'll keep an eye on that south side as we cut back up to the north. There we see Rambro, Sleepy Panda, Wave, a lot of teams just kind of, as you said, Matt, right on top of each other.
Yeah, and this is so beneficiary for all the teams that are going to be coming in later, because look at the amount of damage that's being exchanged here. Sure, if it's just a couple of shots back and forth, that's fine and great. But, I mean, whenever we're looking at it, this means that a lot of damage, a lot of attrition is already going to have come into play for all of these teams that are stacked up on top of each other. So being the later team here might have some massive benefits.
Good pull back away there. Looks like they had thoughts about making the push there, but BR Demons taking a lot of damage for their trouble as now Cape, ETH, the rest of DEKD will push BR Demons away. No knocks coming through onto Demons just yet, but they've got some decision making to do here.
Yeah, I mean, that's to say the least. They are looking into the choke point in the position. They've got one team that's going to be the north of them. I believe that Nightmare is going to be coming in back behind them if they are not careful, as they've already moved into Cave itself. So with this, looks like they just might miss a team as they're making some of these positions out. So this is now back over with buff aim assist, and you can see what it's like to come into the circle over here in the north. There's nobody really over here, but they are pathing the direction of 2 teams that are actually stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, Team Smiley holding things on right now. We'll take a look back at that in a minute here as we check back with Vayne with BR Demons, as it looks like, as you said, Nightmare starting to creep over there. May have spotted them out, and yeah, you can see their little Doritos are looking down in that area on the southern side. Yep, so far no knocks coming through just yet, but it is a straight up 3v3 versus Nightmare and Demons on the south. The winner of that should have a pretty free passage into the south side of this new zone, though.
Lineup looking through it, you can see Reed's already taken a pretty decent amount of damage. Dracos is playing the opposite side, down to the south around everything's going on. Ronnie was trying to peek into the north, but Aiden did a good job of defending it up. Nightmare has the high ground into this one, but has got both these teams now kind of stuck in a mutually assured destruction stage. One of them is going to have to take down the other one before they can at least deal with the next contender that is going to be in front of them. Nightmare has the information on where the positions come into play, but you can see the pathing on the opposite side of it is just not really there. Is Nightmare going to use that little bit of damage as enough to come into it? Looks like they think that they have some advantage into this, as this is an aggressive... Oh, that peak could have been catastrophe if you'd spotted that.
Yeah, this is, I mean, Nightmare has a little bit more time to mess around with this because we're still running that Valk. So remember, I mean, Demons is running the hard push you comp. So they don't have that kind of get out of jail free Valkyl to kind of work with if this fight drags on. So Nightmare, they can take their time with this.
Yeah, but look at the amount of information they have to work with. They can choose to assault this, and now Reeds, with a beautiful position on top, doesn't get the vision he wants just yet, but does step down. Gets a nice spray in, but he's taking a ton of damage. He's going to go down. Now it's just 2 members of Demon trying to get some more damage. Follow it up. Does the drop down into it. Goes for the shots. Connects on multiple times. Following it up and through. Nightmare is going to go down, and Demons are our new kill leader.
I mean, this is what happens if you're playing the comps that the comp that Demons is playing. That's exactly what you need to do. You don't have the time to really sit around and wait for this to evolve. You have to take the fight as soon as you get it. And fortunately for them, Nightmare just kind of pushed in and kind of fed right into exactly what they needed.
Phase 1 having some troubles over here to the I guess southwest, and still a ways away from the circle, as they do have a team in front of them. I think is that bots? I can't quite tell. Yes, it is going to be bots that's going to be in front of them. And so now there's also a couple of solos. We even have Risen Rose that's going to be approaching over here as well with another hard Western shift, Poro. That means the fact that what was once an open circle is now going to just be that cluster of teams stacked up on top of each other that everybody's going to have to be walking into.
And meanwhile, keep in mind, Team Diverge has been in this dead center spot with that high ground, just ADR farming everything around them this entire game, essentially. So everybody knows exactly where they are. Everybody's trying to avoid them for the most part because they've got such a good high ground position. So, I mean, you can just look at the map and see there's this TD in the dead center, and then there's just a gap, and then all the teams kind of hugging the outside.
Lineup coming in, phase one, does manage to get into a gate cap position out in front, but now has a team coming in with bots. They did get distance on each other beforehand. Don't forget about the fact that we have multiple other teams that could be assaulting into this. All stacked up, they can spot out a couple on the opposite side, and that's going to be our solos and our weekend players coming in. Wee Wee Baguette is going to go down. Now, looking in, bots has one of their members go down, and it's just going to be a peekaboo battle all over the place.
Oh my god, BR Demons just got completely decimated instantly. I'm not sure who it was that did it, but right now Bot's trying to hold on. Jaya Q going to be the last one up, will go down, as it's going to be phase one coming out on top of it. But I mean, they are just busted right now. Look at this. Rowdy Life, I think, last one up. Can you get these reses? No, they got to push. They've got to push. First attempt, you got to read this.
Yeah, they're coming in. They know exactly what's going on. How we're going to see Rowdy try to play around this one. Going to look in. First attempt's just going to go ahead and pick that one up. Yeah, that's about the easiest kill you're going to find in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's I was worried for a second. It looked like first attempt was just going to kind of hold off on the edge. But it looks like they figured out what was going on, made that push there as we check back in on this north side. Everybody around this compound is going to have to move in very short order as SZN, Smiley, some big hitters up here.
Yeah, this is the party, right?
As well, yeah.
Yeah, this is where all the fun's going on. Got all of these teams about to have to move, and none of them can, because the team that moves gets shot by everybody that's already inside the circle and everybody that's already on top of them. And out of everything, we can see it's going to be Lox, Key, and Zainu actually in this position as well. So, target-rich environment as the ring is going to be coming in and making this just absolute bloodbath.
MMW, I mean, they still have that Valcult. They can still kind of make their... It looks like they're already kind of looking in that direction as the zones start to push in. Yep, that's going to be the call to make the move here, but they get an angle from the side. Ooh, big damage comes through, but it's not going to be enough. Pull them off.
Jumps coming
Actually,
out.
A lot of real estate available here right now.
But it's got some high ground vision on it. Looks like they're going to lean into the road. I believe that there's a team underneath of that, so they're going to be jumping right into where a team's already going to be positioned. You can see barriers already down in place. They do at least have the high area here with the walls around them to give them some cover. But God, this is harsh.
I mean, there's got a team hanging out on the north side of this bridge. Yeah, sure, why not? Actually, that's going to be an interesting little split there. As two from first attempt, two went to the west, and Bronzy went off to the east. So they've got multiple lines of sight in on this. MMW getting picked apart here. Silent now the last one up. Will have some nice damage there. Trying to turn it around. Got to go for the res, though.
The other team came in. First attempt is having to deal with what's going on over here. So with this, they've taken a massive amount of damage. Are we going to see the follow-up come up on the other side of this one? Is the read coming out? MMW getting the shots in. They should be able to pick this one apart now.
Look at this. They get the reses off. They can immediately get back to the reset, but they have to pull back, do a little healing of their own. Sorcerer, the enemy go. Now the last two up for first attempt is... This is not good payback for MMW, considering first attempt saved you when you were at your lowest, and you immediately turned back on top of them.
You know we haven't seen enough of?
What's that?
Western circle shifts. So let's go ahead and get another one.
Why not?
Sure.
Let's get real weird with it. As looks like who are you looking at here? Gonna be SZN. Late game SZN. I haven't seen that in a little bit here. As Klain and the gang doing some big damage, and they will clean up Team Diverge. TD just got to hang out on that high ground, farming ADR for the longest time. But when it came down to brass tacks, these guys just got wiped.
I have to see how the play comes out from here, because it's not going to be the most desperate of adventures for our teams that are playing to the north and to the east. You can see that even Vision already jumping into this area. You got some options on how you're wanting to do it, but with the way that it's actually lined up, the circle is very, very defended right now, and any pathing that you're going to take is going to require you to take some damage. So just waiting on the ring, going to be jumping in. You can see that the lineup inside the council buildings, giving Vision, man, one Arc Star would do so much work.
Anybody who's close enough, who just able to kind of peek out that doorway as long as they like. Team Smiley, meanwhile, once again, back up in the late game. And it looks like SCN actually wrapping on the south side are going to push right into the back of MMW. This has been a great map for SCN. They had not found very much success on World's End, but when it comes to Storm Point, they turn things around here, and it looks like that's the case here today.
Oh yeah, this is pretty clean altogether. They're just going to keep throwing in the utilities. Smile gets eliminated. Now, SZN, you've got yourself pretty decent control over this area. Not the best vision to be able to look out and what's going on in the capsule buildings per se, but with the way that the circle is lined up, as long as they can kind of hold this and keep it together, they're actually pretty strong up, as the other two teams are right up against the ring wall.
Yeah, I mean, neither of these two teams are going to be making any hardcore pushes anytime soon.
We're about to have to.
I mean, they're not going to have a choice. But for right now, like you said, it's SEN just has to wait this out more than anything. Wait for that zone to start pushing. And honestly, if they just kind of hang out, whoop,
he's in that rope over there.
Out. These two should fight each other. You would think.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be how they decide to go with it. I mean, the water is just a no man's land, and that's gonna be what spells the doom for both of these teams, unless they just combine their forces and just really look into SZN. The problem is SCN doesn't even really have to reveal themselves until somebody gets close. Now, how are we gonna see this? It's just really a waiting game right now, and
that's all it is.
So the ring is coming in. What are we going to see? Which direction are the eyes going to go? The bullets are leaning in. I actually think that we're seeing a northern lean on one side of it. One already making the move into it. Explosions coming out to try to force SZN away, and now making contained flight right up on top of it. See, going to be DKD trying to figure out how they're going to hold. Bubble on the other side of it stalls this one out, and everything in what should be a fast-paced fight is now stalled out due to a Gibby and a Newcastle.
I mean, this is great news for both of these teams here. SCN, honestly, they're laughing. They just get to sit here and wait this one out until the other two kind of take each other out the most. And there you go. One DKD will go down. They'll be out in third, and SCN will clean it up. It looked like it was set there as the top three, but SCN, after a little bit of a struggle on World's End, they come here on Storm Point ready to get some points and get that win.
Man, that's a scary place to play whenever everybody else is as defended as possible, but that's the double-edged sword sometimes, right? Whenever both teams are lined up against each other. I'm just astounded that the kill box that was supposed to be the watch, right? SZN just should have been able to just rip them apart. Suddenly it was just like, nah, we're just going to make a mini fortress by our powers combined. Two teams down, just drop the chips, drop all the balls, everything's good.
It's like, you get these teams that are set up for doing some hard kind of tower defense stuff, right? And immediately they just jump down, and you got the Newcastle wall going up. You got the Gibby bubble as well. I mean, it probably took a little bit longer than I think SCN was maybe expecting it to, for those two teams to do a lot of damage to each other. But in the end, SCN still has a ton of utility. They had the high ground. They had the good position. It was going to be damn near impossible for either one of those two other teams to really win that one, it felt like, at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to deal with what the ring gives you, right? And that's just what we were looking at. There is the beneficiary of being highly defended for a long period of time does mean the fact that you're comfy where you're at, but late game movements can be the key to victory, as SCN just is going to show us there. I also do have to give shout out to every team that was fighting around Cave, because this was just constant from the drop.
It was rough, man. It was real rough, and I'm not sure how BR Demons ended up going down. I mean, they were doing so much work over here with this hyper-aggressive comp that they rolled out with, and then, they immediately got kind of the short work was made of them in the end. But here you go, the final kill comes through. SCN gets that elusive first win of the day for Clay and Kenny and Mr. Hakulo, and that'll be 22 points going in their pocket as well. But you got to give credit to who finished with another 10. They've been having a good day for themselves.
It's like a quiet consistency. It's back to that points per game battle, right? That's where they're finding their success. It's not always the biggest, flashiest games, but 9 placement points is still 9 points at the end of the day. Sure, you're only going to walk away with 1 kill, but that's going to put you in a pretty strong position in the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the stats over the course of the games. And who? I mean, 13 points one game, 6-1, 15, then 10. I mean, they're finding multiple double-digit games in a row. Now, Team Smiley, they had their 2 wins back-to-back, and then since then, it's been 1 point and 6 points. So their lead is still 10 points, as MMW didn't really find a whole lot that game around. But now you see who also climbing up there. They're in contention. SCN with that 1 win right now is in striking distance as well. So Team Smiley, MMW, they're going to start having to find a little bit something here going on Storm Point, or else they're going to find themselves getting caught up with very shortly.
I mean, tied up right now. Who, MMW, 44 points apiece, and Smiley, you're getting your points. You're still holding your lead, but it's starting to get scary out of it. I also do want to give a shout out to Phase 1, who found some success in that last game. I think walked away with 10 points, mostly off of kills. I think that they found 8 in that, so managed to get a climb up the leaderboard for themselves as well. Just 2 games down. I mean, we're 2/3 the way through, and it's been a pretty consistent set whenever we look at specifically the top 8. It's been some shifting in positions here and there. We've seen Risen Rose find some successes, but really, whenever we look higher and higher up on this leaderboard, it's just going to become the points race, right? And that's what the big thing is. Can Smiley continue to just keep that gap? Because another big game from who like that is going to be massive. Is Smiley didn't seem like they felt as comfortable in that map.
No, they really didn't. And I mean, you mentioned who making a catch up. I mean, MMW is right there as well. And now you also throw in SCN after that big win. I mean, you got to wonder if is Storm Point just the SCN map? Is that the map that they get all of their money on? And if that's the case, we got 2 more games left to play. And if Smiley can't find something going, if MMW or who can't find something going here, they could find another team just coming up from the back that maybe had a rough first half of the day, finding more success on this new map and supplanting them in the leaderboard. So it's tough, man. It's going to be real close, and you got to imagine it's going to be a real nail biting finish.
I've just got to ask a question. Was Mike and Ike Wizard Coin? Mike and Ike - Wizard Coin 1 through 22 all taken?
Yeah, I don't know. You gotta. It's like the 23's got to be there for a reason.
Yeah, I'm not making a joke. That does probably win out of all the years I've been casting. I think that wins the longest handle.
The longest name. Got to have the hyphen in there to really drag it on it.
Mike and Ike Wizard Coin. It's fun. It's actually really fun to say. So love it. We're trying to get everything set up for the next game, and man, this has been pretty just hot and heavy from the get-go, right? This has been the aim. With the way that the maps are lined up, with the amount of teams that we've got in here, really, you just don't get comfortable drops. And I'm curious to see with what we saw at the almost third party on the drop in our first game on Storm Point, if we're going to see that pull up, or if we're going to see some drop rotations come in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing that's been kind of sticking out to me the most is these edge fights that have been going on in kind of the early game and in the mid game. I think a lot of these teams maybe used to having these edge fights, playing these Valk comps where they can just kind of hang around on the edge, pick off whatever they find, and then just immediately turn around and ult in and kind of find success that way. But these edge fights have been bloody, man. It seems like it's exceedingly rare that we're seeing any of these teams just go 3-0 without taking a knocks, without taking any damage from it, to where they can just immediately quickly finish that fight and immediately go on to the next thing. It seems like it's trading going back and forth. So a lot of these teams, their mechanics on point here tonight.
And as every Apex player knows, that's the problem, is if you end up in these longer fights and you're getting dinked and damaged, that also means the fact that the third party has a greater opportunity. The longer a fight goes on just means somebody sooner or later is going to go, there's an opportunity.
Oh, it's coming.
Let's see if we can take it.
Yeah.
So just those clean, fast fights not being so common in this is what's leading to so many secondary and tertiary fights.
Yeah, it's real rough. I mean, you're doing your best, man. You're trying to get in there and you're trying to take the fights that you feel like, okay, 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds tops. We can clean this up and we can immediately turn back around. But it's just not. It's not working out that way. They're dragging on a little bit longer now. Some of these teams are finding some success with it, and right off the bat here, look at this. P1 immediately just going to have to dip on out.
Yeah, that's I guess that's the modification that we were talking about on drop, and P1 just pushing to the north where they are going to be able to get lightning rod. I do believe that we also saw a drop around antenna that could make this pretty spicy. This is, I mean, just kind of what you got to do at this stage. The circle does pop. It's pretty centered, so it's not going to hit phase 1 too bad.
Yeah, it seems like for the most part, everybody avoiding each other. Like, we got a couple of teams on top of each other at antenna, and that's about it in this map. So LTC and looks like Buff Aim Assist are going to be the ones squaring off here. And actually, it looks like Buff Aim Assist might be the ones on the losing end of this battle so far. Zainu might be the last one up.
He's got friends somewhere at range. I'm not exactly certain. Dan Manning is also taking some damage, but doing a good job on being elusive. Gonna drop down right on top of him. And yep, a famous assist. You were right, just one. And he's gonna go down. Now, let's go ahead and make phase 1's life even worse.
Oh no. And this isn't even the team that dropped on him initially. This is just another push out here by Wee Wee Baguette. As you mentioned it in game 1, we saw it happen, and we were curious as if to whether Wee Wee Baguette was going to try to come out here again. Looks like they tried to. They thought about it, thought the better of it, and they're going to go ahead and leave him again.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple of just bumper car fights, for lack of a better term, where people are just kind of hitting into each other, doing some damage, and running away. Really nobody wanting to commit into anything, just the stage. With a Cascade Falls circle, what we're looking at right now, I mean, Cascade Falls checkpoint, that's kind of the way it's going to lean. Most people are probably assuming. You're not wanting to take too much of an early fight because you're assuming that this is going to be a pretty, I guess, choke point and cave-heavy fighting situation to begin with. Or, I guess to end with is the better way to say it.
Sure. It's kind of looking over at Team Smiley. They're looting over in North Pad, obviously our first place team so far in the lobby. But thinking back to our first 3 games, Team Smiley, remember they were looting off in the middle of nowhere, right? Nobody really around them. They got all day long to kind of loot up and make their way into the zones kind of late because they were so far west. Well, this time around, they're doing this northwestern loot spot, and the circle's kind of falling on top of them initially. Yeah. So they haven't really had the time to just kind of loot up and take their time the way they did in the first 3 games. And again, this one, they're very close to MMW, also really close to Bad Boys. So not really getting the space that they got in the first 3 games. That might have something to do with why they haven't been able to find the success they were able to find early.
Well, I mean, they have control over the area all around them. I think it's just the fact that we're seeing so much edge fighting, too, that they're just not really getting a chance to get involved in the fights. And that's whenever you're trying to hold on to first, just placement points is not going to be enough.
Oh, it's going to be tough. As we check in with first attempt. The team that I feel like we've been saying their name a lot right now. I mean, they've managed to take 5th place overall off of a 23-point game number 2. But they've been getting points every game here. They have not put up any goose eggs here tonight. Slept on, meanwhile. We saw them in week 1, finished 2nd overall. Didn't manage to make it into week 2. And so far in week 3, it hadn't been great, for being honest. 17 points overall, good enough for 11th. Yeah. Let's check in with Stick Drift Op.
I think that they were going after to Verge, so we'll have to see if how that's going to go for them. But with Stick Drift over here, you can see not the cleanest angles to work with, and an awkward high ground advantage going on right now. Bad Boy's going to be the ones up on top of it, trying to defend up positionals. No clean sight lines on either side right now, as this is just weird for both of them. It looks like Bad Boys are going to go ahead and move down into a position to see if they can spot something. But it's just kind of a cat and mouse game right now. Nobody's getting clean sight lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think This is probably the best way you can describe this fight. It's weird. It's very odd. And I feel like Bad Boys, they had an idea where people were. Okay, now they find them. And I'm trying to push in here. Euban needs to be careful, getting knocked very low. And it's actually going to get knocked completely as Rambro now also getting knocked low. As Stick Drift OP holding the line.
That was very, very well played. They kept baiting around different angles. The reason it felt so awkward was because of the fact that they were letting the Newcastle do Newcastle things. Setting up position, trying to get more defended up. You can see the fact that the walls were now in a position that they didn't have a second ago. So when the reposition came out from Bad Boys, they just walked right into a firm defended position that they thought was just going to be an open sight line.
Oh man, Oxy. We could get a nice little flanking spot there, flanking position, and almost managed to get away with it, but immediately gets flipped on by Stick Drift. So we'll see what Bad Boys can do for the rest of this game here. Slept on now, long range shots with the charge rifle. A lot of damage on Slept on so far. They've been eating a lot of circle today, it feels like.
They have their sights set on Diverge. For some reason, well, there's another team I now see. It's going to be just to the east of their position, and that's going to be what's stalling them. Yep. And so now both these teams, you can see that really it's just going to be trying to make sure that they get Diverge before Diverge goes down to the zone, I feel like is pretty much what they're going to be after right now, and they just can't quite seem to find the angle to get it.
Well, let's see if Slept on can put something together here. But like you said, BR Demons, they are kind of doing a little bit of gatekeeping of their own as Slipped On trying to make the push in. I think they realized they got the knock. We'll try to get a little heals off first. Karma will be the one to shoot through the
but bots
shield, and
bots left this. They left the circle. They're coming out after this. They moved in right along this angle.
Okay.
Oh, that was a big exchange between the two of them. Slept On, though, has taken so much ring damage with the Verge going down. You can see now's the time to pounce. Aiden on one side of it, Reed's on the other of the door, causing problems. They can't kick it down fast enough. The meds are coming up on the other side of it. But how many meds did the other team still have to work with? And I don't know if it's going to be enough. Shots are going to come out. This is a very weakened squad.
There you go. Slept On will get taken care of here as BR Demons again. I mean, we saw them. They were just kind of hanging out between these guys and the next zone, and just picking the perfect time to come out there and third party it. Managed to pick up a couple of kills for themselves, and look at that southwestern side all to themselves as we see where our next zone is going to go.
My apologies on that one. I accidentally said that one was bots. I glanced at the map and looked at the wrong area. I apologize on that one to everybody. But yes,
team tags, please.
I tried to with it. It just means the fact that we have to get to know everybody personally. With the way the circle's lined up, this is
what is going on over here?
This is the circle, right? We'll give a glance at. Congratulations to everybody that has to try to assault into this position right now, as it's fairly wall heavy, to say the least.
To say the least, as Team Smiley once again find themselves inside the zone, center zone this time, as obviously a very different place off from how they were playing in our first three games here. Is now Risen Rose will try to work their way in on the north, but they've got quite a few friends surrounding them here, and they will lose one in Fluxon right off the bat there to phase one. As you see SZN also just right across the way, third party into this. Trev Stacks, the last one up. We'll try to survive a little bit longer. At least try to get for the points here, nothing else.
Hey, he out-survived who was killing him, and I think that we just saw Risen Rose go down. This is just going to be multiple teams trying to jump into this one. As I'm sorry, Risen Rose looks like they're trying to escape on it. Wee Baguette in position, and the problem with the Wee Baguette, yes, you have managed to take down phase one. You feel good about that one. And the problem is you now have another team that is going to be gatekeeping you out from a very strong choke point.
Yeah, it looks like actually SZN going to pull away from this fight and reposition around that choke point of which you were just talking about to see if maybe Wee Baguette goes that way. That is one still left alive for Risen Rose. Trev Stacks will survive, and it looks like Wee Baguette, they're just going to go ahead and let that person live. Get into the whip and decide where to go from here. Is it ascend it,
or is it try to wrap very far around?
Oh, they're going right. They're going right for him.
No, it looks like they're going to cut.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to cut to the east first, but there is still going to be a team that's up in front of them. But that is going to give them an easier pathing into the circle. That is a smart rotation.
Yeah, this Kalando just off to their south. See if Kalando had their ears on, if they maybe spotted that. And yep, there you go. You can see shots already coming through from Wee Wee Baguette. They've spotted out at least 2 of them.
Magettle over there, taking a whole bunch of damage, trying to live up to being a damage sponge right now, if anything. Does manage to survive away from it, and you can see some retaliation shots as this is going to be right along the edge of the zone, but it's going to be its own contained fight for right now. I believe the fact that we do have one team, and this time going to be bots that might actually choose to come into this area, but I think they're just going to stop inside the safe zone themselves. So Wee Wee Baguette now looking up into this one. They feel like they've got the advantage, and they do lots of damage out onto it. They're just going to continue. They're going to harass this one all the way in, and it doesn't matter about walls. It doesn't matter about doors. This is just going to be a quick push.
Alando just got decimated. Okay, we see you, Wee Wee Baguette. And they'll survive for now, but as always, it wouldn't be Apex if it wasn't a third party coming in at the exact wrong time for them. But they are responding admirably here as bots taking a lot of damage for their trouble of trying to make the push.
I mean, that was a pretty clean push at the end of it, so there was plenty of time for the opposite side to get some type of health back. And now Bots is making a harder push in. A couple of sprays to connect are going to make it easier. Are they going to find their opportunity, but are going to get the vision in? Good spray and get that in there.
There you go, Wee Wee Baguette. Done and dusted. At least they got a nice little stack of kills for themselves on the early game, though. But great work by bots. But now they might be getting botted themselves. As
they
it
got a
looks
gate.
like,
yep.
Yeah, it looks like Afro Man and company might be starting to make their way out there.
I mean, they can just pretty much hold this position. Issue is they're being gate kept. So it's kind of take one down, pass it around style situation. LTC also outside the zone. It looks like Nightmare finally going to enter the ring and see what it's like without that haze all around them as the circle is leaning into a cliffside finish. That's going to mean the fact that a couple of these teams in Checkpoint are also going to have to move out.
Yeah, very, very weird terrain around this, especially for these teams on the south side. LTC, and then BR Demons, Stick Drift OP, all these teams that have to make their way in from the south are going to have some decision making ahead of them. Here's Risen Rose. The rest of the gang coming in from the north. They're going to spot the tail end of Jolene. JQ Stompies, the rest of that gang.
That looks like it means that bots are going to be able to at least get inside the tunnel. The tunnel has now been abandoned, so that means the fact that Risen Rose is going to have to stall this one out some more. Now, what are we going to see bots opt into doing here? Because there's great start the rest of the team that's going to be back behind them. Risen Rose going to continue their press because they don't have any options, so might as well go with what they can try to get. Trestax, he was the high-end guy on their shields, and he's going to be the first one to go down. That was a beautiful pounce coming out from that one. Plug Cube tries to hold it up, but Risen Rose is going to go down cost, losing one member on bots.
You know, credit to Risen Rose. I mean, remember, Trev Stacks was the last one up, managed to get the revives on both of their teammates, and immediately, though, bots making short work of them. Good stuff from them. But bots definitely in the better position in that fight after the Risen Rose reses came through. Here's check in with Demons. This is going to be tough for, okay, Stick Drift OP, done and dusted.
Looking into it, our teams that we saw just a second ago are going to be the ones that are being shot. Remember bots that just left their tunnel? This is what they had to look forward to. Two different teams gatekeeping this angle. SZN holding to the north of it, but they have to be careful as they now have a friend that's going to try to stop them out. And that means the fact that bots is actually also going to come to this angle as well. This is going to be now a sandwich SZN that has got to be careful. One of their members already down. So it looks like they're leaning back into the north. Again, trying to get the spray before the teams are going to be coming up back behind them. I don't know if they have the time to do it. SCN, as one of the members goes down, they do get the moral victory onto this one, but bots cannot get there fast enough to make anything happen. There are going to be other teams now starting to step out, and now this is going to become at least enough time to maybe defend this one up. First attempt wants it, though. They're all stacked up there, fish in a barrel. Are they going to be able to do it? Yes! First attempt takes them down.
Great push from first attempt, and Now they've got to turn their attention back and look at how much damage they're taking here from Euban. Oh no. It's just, you know, the decisions that you make, man. LTC will get eliminated. Bad Boys now 2 up. And there's just a ton of loot in there for them if they can take it.
There's also a person.
There is. And decided that, I mean, they've got him. Last one up. Finish it off. There you go. Nightmare is eliminated. So is first attempt.
Oh, that was bad for everybody there. Yeah, I mean,
you want some boxes?
I mean, you're looted now. You lost a teammate, but hey, you have the loot of 3-4 teams over there to work with. I want to give a shout out and let everybody know. In the center of this circle is Smiley. Remember how we talked about some circle love? Well, they've got themselves a nice control point to play from, and everybody else is on the outside looking in as the circle is theirs to contend with. As we look through this one, we'll have to see if any other teams and how they're going to opt into this one, as they do have some neighbors that are holding up, but really it's just denying more angles of approach as the east, and the bloodbath that happened over there now has to make their way west into these firing lines.
I mean, this is a problem if you're Smileys. I mean, they've got a great position, great hard cover on that south side. They got to watch out for BR Demons, but Team Who still in it, MMW still in it. So these are all the teams that are chasing them still have a shot here, and Team Smiley's just kind of in a position where they can kind of sit and wait for late game. I don't know how much damage or kills they're going to be able to get off of this.
Well, I mean, Who can play the top of this for right now? It is inside the ring. To stop right there, and yep, they've got this very awkward spot that they can hold up right now. The only problem with it is another team had a similar idea just to the north of this, so nobody really easily looking up over these fences for the time being. And I gotta say, that's got to be annoying if you know who is on who, because then as you're making calls, you can say that who is approaching, and that can only lead to confusion with your teammates. Be like, no, who is approaching? Yes, who is approaching?
Who's on first?
Exactly.
Oldest bit in the world. And looking at that circle, it looks like Smiley's actually going to get some zone favor here. So the rich get a little bit richer as we wait and see how this is going to play out on the far eastern side. As you said, you've got Bad Boys just in the hardcover compound just off to the north. So Rambro and Euban, only 2 of them, but they still have great position. And there's still MMW, whole north side that they have to work with. And they're in a perfect position to do maybe a little bit of third partying if they can get vision on any of this. Demons trying to make their way through.
Demons feel like they might be able to push into Smiley's spot. I mean, they're running reds across the board.
Push, man.
But, I mean, they just might be content getting their little cubicle over here and just getting inside the circle, because that's really all they're trying to do right now. But this is providing a distraction whenever we look through. That means the fact that the circle is not all that defended right now. So all the other teams that are not inside, so the 4 other teams that are trying to find a path into this one, do have an opportunity that BR Demons is presenting. So now we're going to see how the defense comes out from Smiley.
I mean, this is a real tough push for BR Demons. And they're still insisting on pushing through the compound itself. They don't necessarily need to do that here. As Reed's starting to push out, going with a little bit more a more normal, I guess, comp this time around, leaving the Bloodhound at home.
We got somebody flying in. Are they going to land on top of the building? Looks like they're going to land right over here on the opposite side. This is the problem whenever, we talked about it beforehand, it's great whenever you have the circle itself, but it gets so hard to control because so many enemies are around, and so now it's going to be Smiley finding themselves in a hallway as they are now pinched.
It's 2/3 of Who that decided to come onto this. Now Wave got left off to the north as an insurance policy. Demons trying to make the push in, not taking any knocks just yet, no damage really either. The Demons kind of playing this a little bit cautiously, I'd have to say. I feel like they're not really utilizing the strength that they have here.
Well, there's risks coming because they know they're going to have to move very, very soon, as the circle is going to make it very difficult for everybody. What's going on over here to the east is going to get some control over it. Oh, Whenever I'm looking at this, I believe... Well, hold on. We'll finish off with what's going on with Revenge first. So Revenge now taking some damage off of it. MMW going to be the beneficiary of taking them down. But while this was going on, look, there's been a very long wrap that's coming over here to the north, jumping out and trying to third party into this one. It's going to be Demons who are trying to jump in and try to make a play off of this, getting separated away from everything that was happening inside the compound itself, wanting to third party onto this one. But that fight ended so fast, they can't capitalize the way that they wanted to.
Yep, they left that fight in the hardcover, decided to come take this one on with MMW. Now, fortunately, MMW has been able to get at least a few heals off, get a little bit of a reset after that scrap. The Demons just a couple of seconds too late to really take advantage of it, and they're doing their damnedest. They're landing some nice shots here, as this is just an aerial battle more than anything, it seems, at this point.
I mean, everybody is getting involved in here. What was going to be around the building is now shifted all the way over into the east. MMW in some trouble, and they're going to go down. BR Demons with 2 up, and guess what? They managed to survive the onslaught on their compound, and now they're running out for this one. Smiley knows where the fight's going on, and they know how to assault. Got to jump in, quickly start wrapping up what's happening over here. BR Demons is going to get eliminated, and that just means a Vizzy is the last one up. A solo hiding down below. Just dropping his stuff out for him.
Nice. Do you think there, Vizzy? But man, we're getting pinched by BR Demons from the south. There was the third party from MMW that came down, or was it? It wasn't MMW. It was who that dropped 2 on top of there, and then all of a sudden everybody just left. Well, and Smiley's sitting there just like, okay, I guess we'll take this win.
It was kind of the beneficiary of just surviving the storm kind of point, because they were put up in the hallway, but they couldn't. No, the other teams couldn't really assault them either due to how the vision and the angles would work into that, and so they didn't want to walk into 2 teams at the same time. And so instead, they both had the exact same idea again and say, hey, there's a fight that's going on over there to the east. Let's go ahead and jump into that one. So one wraps to the north first, and the other one wraps around from the south, and then bump into each other right in between.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not by no means am I saying that anybody made the wrong decision here. I mean, nobody obviously knew that was Team Smiley. I mean, if you know that that's Team Smiley, I feel like if you're being on DMs, you 100% push. But you know, it was just that the way things worked out so nicely for Team Smiley. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, BR Demons, Smiley was dug in there like a tick, man. It was going to be really, really hard for them to try to make that push through this compound itself and take that fight. And I think BR Demons made the better choice, right? Especially once that other duo from Who decided to come down there. I think if you're BR Demons, you're saying, okay, maybe we can make this wrap up to the north. Let them, we'll clean up whatever's left out of this fight off to the south with Team Smiley. But, we'll come up there, we'll take advantage of MMW. But to MMW's credit, they did not go down easy, especially considering that BR Demons was catching them on the back of a really tough fight there.
And there was also the strategy that leans into what was going to be the final circle as well. So leaving the building itself and going and getting involved in the high ground fight in the east with MMW means the fact that both teams were hoping the other one would stay there, I think. And so they would fight, and then whoever won the high ground fight up there would be able to look down at anybody that was leaving the building and mop that one up. So it was like, hey, let's mop up a third party and then mop up what happens inside the building afterwards. That's how it could have played, honestly, if not for having both of them having the exact same idea.
Well, I mean, look, in the end, Demons still 11 kills, 18 points overall. Who, another nice stack for themselves. MMW, another nice stack for themselves. So it's still going to be very close. Even though Team Smiley does get that win, they will pull away a little bit more here. But, I mean, it still feels like with one game left that if MMW, if they can put something together, if Team Smiley just has one bad game, they could be caught up to. But man, you got to give credit to Team Smiley. They have been struggling on Storm Point. And now in a day where they had a lead. They had 2 great games on World End. They managed to pull it together, and they managed to get their S together for at least one good game on Storm Point to really kind of go a long way to securing themselves this top spot.
This has been very, very interesting looking at the way that Smiley's going to be playing this one. This is the opportunity. I know we often, like I was talking about at the beginning of the day, is like, okay, they've got a lead. They don't want to play too passive. Well, now Destiny is in Smiley's hands. They just need to not die early. That's the name of their game, right?
Yeah.
Is as long as they can find some way to make it into the later stages, they should be pretty good. And they've been dropping center. So if they get another centralized circle, they just kind of have to hold down the fort and make it into the end game, get some placement points, just to make sure that if somebody has like a 20-point game, it's hard for them somebody to catch up to them, right? I'm going to be very curious to see how they opt into playing.
Well, yeah, I think that you saw in World's End, right, that we already talked about it, that they dropped on that far eastern side. They're dropping on the edge of the map. They're preferring to come in late with the game in front of them. But as we said, this time now that we're on Storm Point, they're dropping far northwest, but the circle keeps cutting up there. And so instead of, they're able to adapt their game style, their game plan, and try to play for that center position. Now, this by no means was an aggressive Team Smiley. This was a Team Smiley that was playing it very, very safe. They got a compound. They sat in it. They only had 4 kills when all was said and done. So they aren't going out there and scrapping. They played cautiously. They just got fortunate enough to where they got the win this time around. But, if they play cautiously like that and don't get the win and they end up going out in 7th or 8th, they're kind of kicking themselves right now. But they did get very fortunate there in that last game.
I mean, there's still a lot to be looking at. We still have 1 point separating out Who and MMW, 1 point that's separating out SZN and Demons, who also have 1 point back behind them for first attempt. And I got to say, Demons and first attempt, whenever we look back over at Store Point, man, they've been having a good run over here. They found their legs, and they're climbing this leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to see if they can pull something off here at the end. Keep in mind, we still have 1 more week to go as far as qualifiers go. And obviously the winner of each individual week goes on to ALGS. But you also have that additional opportunity of making it if you get the top 4 point scorers that don't win a week will also receive invitations as well. So I think coming into today, Team SZN was at the top of that score leaderboard. BR Demons was right behind them. Skies, who we don't see here tonight, was up there as well. So there's a number of these teams actually that are kind of sitting at the top, or were sitting at the top at the beginning of the night, not playing tonight. So a lot of these teams that are still on the chase, teams like Slept On, teams like First Attempt, they still have a really good opportunity just by showing up here tonight and still placing really, really well.
Yeah, there's still a lot riding on this last game. First, Smiley has some definite benefits. I mean, you got to play the circles that you're given, right? And that's what they did last time. They understood what they needed to do and understood their success, and that's what you want a team to do. You don't always need frag out. Sometimes if you get some circle love, then you take the circle love and be content with what you can get inside of that one. Now, I'm just curious to see how much more people might try to turn it on here at the end, given the fact that we have so many other teams that are so close to each other on the leaderboard. You're not going to see the same, I guess, aggression that might be wanting to come out to try to catch up and get first, because you don't want to maybe surrender second place to the team that's only 1 point behind you by trying to go for some early aggression. So really your team's character is going to come out a lot inside of this next game.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a very tough decision that these guys are faced with, right? Do we play super aggro and try to get as many kills and points as we can to try to make a run towards catching that? Or do we just play it safe, play it close to the vest, hold on to what we've already got? It's a tough decision, man. I've got to say, I feel like 8 times out of 10, the better decision is to always play aggressive. Not try to play safe, not try to play cautiously, because when you start doing that, that's when you kind of, it feels like anyway, purely anecdotal evidence by all means, but it feels like that's when things start going against you. Here is once again, wait, this is a different team though.
This is just a directed up land right next to each other. And so let's just go ahead and have some fun. Phase 1, realize the fact that they've got some close range friends. Going to be full-on white shields against white shields for most of this one lined up. Whoever gets the beneficiary of finding something better might find themselves the capability to win this one. Phase 1, it's not looking too good for you. You at least managed to find a blue shield. But on the opposite side, Caliendo finally finding their victory.
I mean, if phase 1 was getting scrapped on, it was Wee Wee Baguette for the first 2 games, and this time they just get straight up hop dropped by Caliendo, and Caliendo going to take 2 off of it, so we'll see what phase 1 could do with a solo. Meanwhile, Team Smiley, well, you wondered what they were going to do in the final game. They're going to lose 1. Sang is very low as well, as Blakeu is going to get flushed out.
This is getting precarious for them. They have got to play this one as clean as possible. You can see, taking the time, trying to get their health back up. This was a very, very fast loot on this one, so just going to jump out quite quickly, see if that's going to be enough to get the damage out. Just steps around the core, starts unloading. Are they going to be able to get enough damage? Going to be up, trying to survive just on health. SCN goes down, but damn, that was close.
Holy... Okay, SCN down and out, and that's going to be Team Smiley winning the straight up. Phase 1 will get eliminated as Zach does get taken down by, well, of course, who else would it be? It'd be well, not Wee Wee Baguette, Caliendo. They actually chased him down, did they?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you got to get the moral victory, right?
I guess so. Look, hey, if you're an SCN fan, chin up. You're still ahead overall in total points. I imagine that that point number is going to climb a little bit here. A little bit of a rough day for SCN here today, but they still got 1 week left to try to get the win. And if they not the win, they're still sitting pretty nice in terms of points. But a nice straight up 3v3 scrap there with Team Smiley, and Smiley comes out ahead. Came down to a 1v1. That's all you can ask for, isn't it?
Hey, and at the end of the day, just those extra set of kills might be enough to clinch themselves the first place position, but it could also be enough to maybe have weakened them for the fights to come. We'll have to see how that's going to come together, but I think that they did manage to get a res. Yep, they're back up to 3 strong as Wee Wee Baguette is eyeing down what's going on around them as the party in the northeast is just still popping off.
It never ends, does it? Wee Wee Baguette trying to push out. I'm not sure if they realize that they've got these guys split, but they're going to land right on top. Blinkser gets 1. Oh, no, almost goes down. Does get the... Okay, Talus will get taken out. Good support there from Wee Wee Baguette as they are trying to take out what's left of Caliendo. As they expected to find phase 1 out here, but you know what? They'll take Caliendo.
And just being delivered the kills right now as they're just jumping right into it all. We're going to look back in. Yep. Caliendo is going to be eliminated, and Wee Wee Baguette do get themselves control of Lightning Rod at the end of the day.
Jeez. It has been tough sledding here for phase 1 for Caliendo. But Wee Wee Baguette, they'll get that okay. LTC will clean off what is left of whatever team that might have been. Not 100% sure. Meanwhile, NM, the Nightmare pushing into Team Revenge. Team Revenge down to 1, but not going down without a fight is Ronnie.
Oh, peeking across the shield's got to be careful with this one. You can see it's a full-on stack up in front of him. He's trying to make sure that he doesn't get flanked around. Looks like he's going to lean into trying to go for the res. This is going to be risky. Here's the footsteps around him. Doesn't know where they're coming from. Peeks back one angle. He's going to jump back down behind the shields. Is it going to be enough? Steps in. He's got to be careful with this one. You know that the nerves are kicking in. This is a desperation fight coming out. Wants to get the shield back up. See the door is going to open. Now is it just going to commit back into the res yet again? Or what's going to be in the strategy for Ronnie?
Nice hold there from Ronnie. That was very dangerous. Sticks trying to hold on for the time being. Going to go for the... I don't think they have the heals, and now Ronnie has the advantage when it comes to health, and that's going to be it. Team Revenge take it down. Nightmare, nicely played there from Ronnie.
Oh, that one was close, but at least you're going to find yourself with something to work around from that one. You can see that it's going to be now LTC Esports getting some vision in. Looks like they're going to be assaulting the area around them. They're feeding the information over as the jump in comes. It's just going to continue to be this way as everybody looks like they're starting to converge around this antenna area.
You know, we talked at the beginning of the game, Matt, all these different teams that have so much riding on the line. What were they going to do? What were the plans going to be for this final game? Well, at the end of the day, it turns out how most all BRs turn out at the end, and that is just full-on Game 6 YOLO, scrapping, fighting from the word go. Now we see the third party coming in from BR Demons. They want a piece of this.
That was a quick follow-in, but let's not forget that there's still more to be had as this is going to be going on. Guess what? Nightmare actually going to get pretty close to this fight as well. A couple of teams now starting to eye into this area, specifically this northeastern section around Antenna. It can be a problem, so BR Demons have to make sure that they keep their head on a swivel. Just trying to make sure that they keep an eye on what's going on. And hey, there you go. There's Nightmare jumping in.
All right, Draco's the close man here. A few shots come through as we check in with RR. And that's actually going to be a nice trade there. I'm trying to figure out Risen Rose is fighting. His Lynx is going to go down. Cobra going to go down. Yep, that's Wee Wee Baguette taken out by Risen Rose. And that will be TrevStack's being able to get both of those revives. TrevStack's doing a damn fine job of being the last one alive here for Risen Rose in these last couple of games.
He's had himself some plays to keep his team up and going. Hey, look, let's have some more fun around Antenna. You know who wants to have some fun around Antenna? That's going to be Smiley, feeling pretty good about their chances of going into Pro League. We're going to have to see how this is going to line up for them now, as they do have strong control point to play from yet again. It's not quite as centered as last time, but with the way that this circle goes, it's rocks in the center, so this is about as good as you can.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Smiley's all smiles right now, really. I mean, the only one really with, I think, a shot at catching. I mean, you've got Who and MMW. MMW all by themselves up on the north side, actually making their way in super late. They've got one team that's kind of creeping up on their backs a little bit, but Who, I'm trying to see where they are hanging out, if they're even still in this thing. There they go.
Jumping into it, looks like the fact that Mike Knight Wizard Coin going to have to find himself a more defendable position. Going to step down. That Arc Star is not going to be the defendable position he's looking for. But it looks like the rest of the team is going to be able to provide them some support to work with. MMW now getting some more control over this area. But Everman and the rest of the team still locked down in point, as this is pretty far away from Antenna, all considered. We're just going to be on the western side of Cascade Falls.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like MMW, you got to push this. You got to get these kills, get these points, and push it hard. And there you go. Stick Drift OP will get taken out. MMW will clean that up. And did eventually find Who. I think they're down to just Greatsword. Just one player on the very eastern side of this map. And that might be good news for MMW and for particularly for Smiley.
Yeah, I mean, MMW has pretty much control of however they want to approach this. They've got a ways to come into it. It's up to on. Looks like they're going to rotate much further down to the south, and that could put them along the path for Smiley is defending up the south of Antenna right now, because it looks like they're going to drop and continue on, not take the eastern approach into Antenna itself. So, yeah, I'm going to do that wrap around. We'll have to see how that one's going to line up, as it is actually them and LTC that are going to both be defending that angle.
Take it back. I think MMW still has Team Who actually has a couple of people up. Greatsword's just kind of stacked on top of everybody. He's got the biggest nameplate, so that's all I can see. But they are getting pushed by Risen Rose right now, so we'll keep an eye on that fight as we check in with. Yeah, this is what we were talking about. Just everybody kind of right on top of each other. And there you go. Who eliminated by Risen Rose. So one of our contenders for that top spot, or challengers for the top spot, now taken out, is Risen Rose having to turn their attention over towards the bonus assist. Oh, what a push. TrevStack's, man. Whatever Risen Rose is paying you, you need to get more. Get extra toppings on that pizza tonight, because you've earned it.
Well, more friends look like they want to come hang out, and it's going to be Nightmare is the defendable line up here on... I hear this thing called so many times. Sometimes I hear it called Finger, sometimes I hear it called, like, Balcony. There's a lot that could be going on in this position around Launchpad, but looks like it is going to be Rose that keeps control over this area. Team Smiley now starting to get that attention coming in, as They are starting to catch what's going to be going on to the south of them, trying to hold out what's going to be the approach on the opposite side of this one, and not going to have the cleanest angle to do it. So how is Smiley going to opt in playing it? Well, it's going to be aggressive. Let's just go ahead and keep the control going.
I like it. This is exactly what Team Smiley needed to do. They know they've got this team up against the wall trying to go for the push, but Sang going to go down. So Team Smiley getting a little bit busted for that one. Looks like they should be able to get the res, though. But here we go. The third party coming in from Rambo and the rest of Bad Boys. Smiley might be in some trouble now.
And we're getting the vision up, looking in. The circle did pop back over in launch pad, so that's why we're seeing everybody starting to jump in. There's going to be another team that's thinking about going to be fourth partying onto this one. So Bad Boys making the push in has got to make sure that they be careful from back behind them because there's going to be some new targets that are going to come in. Smiley finally does go down, but it's going to be in 8th place. Is it going to be enough? As here comes a new set of contenders.
And a couple of kills on the board for themselves. MMW still 3 strong on the north side. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we check in with BR Demons, trying to clean up what is left of this south side. Bad Boys knocked very, very low. You can see the zone is doing so much damage here. And they will just, I mean, credit to them. They are surviving.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming at a cost, and really, I think that everybody over here is feeling like this is where they're going to have their last chance to get any points, so try to make it KP. That's why we're seeing the absolute commit. I also want to point out that Dan Mantic is also still alive over here for LTC and was eyeing this and might try to, like, I guess, solo third party. We'll have to see how it goes, try to pick up somebody. BR Demons, though, still trying to lean into this play style, and they just don't have a clean path to work with, and it looks like they're finally finding the angle that they want to work with. Gets off 70 damage, make that enough to now make it a much more valiant push.
This is such a tough fight here. Bad Boys giving them the hardest time and eventually do go down. And now, you know, I'm looking, I don't even know if there's enough KP on the board for MMW to make a late game catch or a late run at catching Smiley here. There's only a couple of teams left remaining, and there's nobody anywhere near MMW. It's just game 6 W keying from everybody has led to just a very light late game lobby.
Off we go, heading into the skies. Looks like we're just going to go ahead and try to jump over some defensive lines. Nightmare is actually stepping away from the compound. Yep, they get spotted out right as soon as that's going through, so that means the fact that Demons knows exactly where to land safe. And this is now going to be a much safer approach into this than it could have been just a second ago. But Demons, they got some bloodlust in their eyes, and I think that they're just going to continue the push anyway.
Oh, here we go. You can see shots coming through. MJ is now crept down here as well for MMW, but by himself. See if they can maybe steal a couple of knocks, maybe get a point or two here. But Nightmare giving them everything they can handle. Draco's very, very low, but not giving up on the fight just yet, staying with the team, pushing as a team. And there you go. They're going to find Vayne. They're going to find Aiden. I believe it's just one left up for. Oh, Demons not going down without a fight. Look at this. MJ, get in there. Get your points. Dan Mantic.
Dan Mantic, he wants in on this. Jumps in.
Solo heroics.
He's trying to make it work. The ring's going to be coming in. MJ has got his sights set on him, so I don't know how much more can be done out of it. MMW wants to pick it up, but LTC is going to go out, and now MMW, 3 squads left. I don't know. This is
out to the zone.
Yeah, that's.
You didn't even get that kill on Dan Mantic. That definitely sucks. Yeah, for MJ. Again, it's what we're looking at, a 3v3v2, I believe, for the end game here, or is it 3v3v3? Okay, yeah, it's all 3 up as we see Stompy's, J-Lo, and JQ, the rest of that crew starting to make their way in. Bots, I feel like this hasn't worked yet. No!
Everybody keeps wanting to come after Balcony, and man, it keeps getting punished hard. Rose knows how to defend that oh so well. Bot's doing a good job now that's left the Balcony, though, to start riding this ship. Good job on turning that back around. That looked like that was about to be real bad for them, but they managed to pull that one together.
Oh, MMW crashing this. They realize that there is just no points left on the board. They've got to get what's left. And it might not even be enough. I don't think it will, actually. As MMW, they lose track of where everybody else went here from. bots as they immediately retreat to the hills.
MW, they want to get as many
Gotta
points as they
get the
can.
win.
I mean, even just getting distance and making sure to secure second, getting more points leading into what's going to be happening next week is just valuable. But on the opposite side of that, this could also be a very big game for bots and give them a chance to jump up quite a bit. So MMW knows exactly where the position is going to be coming in from this one, and they also do have control over the ring itself. It's going to have to be bots that are going to have to find a way to break this defensive line right now, and MMW are looking through this, going to get the high ground in off of it. So now it's starting to come apart, and everything is starting to pop up in MMW's favor. They get the vision into it. They're starting to go for the sprays. Actually, MM has 2 members down.
No!
And what? Bots turns it back around and picks it up.
How do they get that win, Matcham? MMW with everything on the line, and Bots says no. They get the final win of the day in dramatic fashion in a wild Game 6.
I don't even know what that's going to do to the leaderboard for them. That's big. MMW making it into second place with not a lot of kills. I think that we already know how we're going to be looking at the qualifications for this to come into play, and who's probably going to be smiling at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, you got to feel for MMW a little bit there, though. It's just I had eyes on them almost the whole game. There was just nobody anywhere near them on that north side. They hung out very late, which is basically the way they've been playing the entire night here on Storm Point. Just kind of hanging out on that northwestern side, coming in with the zone and taking their time with it. They end up picking up 3 kills early on, but then at the end of the game, there was just nobody left, and they were left running and chasing, and every time it seemed like by the time they got there, the fights were done, and there was just nothing left to be had.
Yeah, they spent so much time out there. All the fighting was just so done. Like, I don't think that they were expecting it to be this heavy, this early. I also want to shout out, I think that Rose got a ton of kills this game. They were active in this area for so long. This could be a big game for them as well.
Oh, it was a hell of a game from Rose, a hell of a game from Trev Stacks in particular. Trev Stacks, the last couple of games really stepping up for their team as they doesn't end up getting the win, but a lot of points going over in their favor. As MMW, man, it just came down to the end here, and Bots, what a clutch play from them.
There we go.
15 points for MMW.
Yeah,
not enough.
But
I don't think Team Smiley with 8.
Yeah. Really, it's going to be about Risen Rose. Also, said the fact that I want to see some more kills, some more late game coming out for LTC in the earlier day. Congratulations, you guys managed to pull off getting yourself in a 4th place position there. Nightmare is going to be coming back in with that, as we had a lot of 10s inside that game. Really, our eyes are going to be drawn back down to Slept On, Team Smiley, and MMW, as well as Bots. I think that that's going to be where we're seeing our big leaderboard shifts. But Oro, lead us into the final leaderboard for the day.
All right. I know everybody's excited to see it, and there you go. Team Smiley will be your victor, and they will secure their spot in Season 3 of ALGS. And very, very well earned from Team Smiley. 3 wins on the day. Not too shabby, Matcham.
I mean, you got to give it to them. They were just so strong today. They found lots of opportunities. MMW also, as well as who we saw Demons. All these guys started to come alive at the end of the day, but it was Smiley that just kept up the pressure for so long. We talked about points per game average across 6 games. Whenever we're looking at that, that's just an absolutely insane total to be able to put up.
No, it was huge. It was huge from Team Smiley, and the fact that they were able to kind of hold on. They come in obviously starting off with 2 wins back to back. That just changes your entire philosophy about how you're going to want to play the rest of these games out. Now, they did have a little bit of a slip up in games 3 and 4, but then immediately come back in game number 5, 16 points, clutch out another victory, their 3rd victory of the day. And here in game number 6, 8 points. I mean, they got 6 kills as well, Matt. It's not like they were just kind of sitting there waiting for the game to come to them. They pushed out. They played a little bit more aggressive.
I also want to give a big shout out to where we saw Demons, Bots. They really came alive as we moved over to our secondary map, finding a lot of opportunities for themselves. Risen Rose having themselves a big last game on there. SZN, you kept talking about them so much, and for a really good reason. They were active in so many, and really these middle game fights, they were responsible for turning so much on its head. Some of these other teams, like I gotta say, like We Be Baguette, there's a lot going on in the Northeast. I don't know if we can fault anybody that was involved in any of that for where they end up on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it was fun watching we would get kind of always make those pushes out. I guess if you're a Phase 1 fan, it wasn't that fun, but it was pretty entertaining in the early game. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too well for the mid and late game for we would get. So again, only single digit points there for the last 3 games, but they managed to pull 12 out. But signs of exciting stuff from a team that we haven't really seen so far during these qualifiers. Hopefully we get to see them again in the final week of play. I think those guys have definitely have something. And I love seeing the team that likes to push out, that likes to take to be aggressive, take the game into their own hands.
I mean, I got to give one last shout out to Team Smiley, though. Congratulations. Fought and definitely deserved. I know the fact that you guys have had a ton of fans inside of chat across a whole bunch of different chats, let's be honest. And it's good to see you guys find your success. And I cannot wait to see what you're going to be able to do as we move on to the Pro League. And I cannot wait to see what everybody else is going to be able to do next week for them.
Absolutely. And shout out to all the watch parties out there. I know there's a lot of you kind of watching and hanging out with your own Twitch streams. So shout out to you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, congratulations to Team Smiley. Really excited to see all these teams hopefully show up again for the final qualification week, which will be, what's the date? We got a date?
Is it the 31st or is it the 30th? I'm trying to remember.
31st. There we go. I was waiting for it. I knew the man in my ear would tell me eventually, but the 31st we'll be back for our final week. But guys, thank you so much for joining us once again. I have been Porosaurus. He has been Matrim. For us and for all the crew, thank you so much for joining us, and good night.